Good evening, South Tama Trojan fans. We are back for week one of the Iowa High School football season. We have South Tama and Roland-Story coming your way here in a little bit. It's pregame time as the STC Frosh and Roland-Story Frosh teams are in the fourth quarter with 40 seconds left to go. A 2-point game over here at Trojan Field. So what you're seeing here is the Frosh unit.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your ball game.
And we are just to the conclusion of the Frosh game. And so South Tama takes the Frosh game 14-12 against Roland-Story. And you'll notice in the bottom left corner, the new scoreboard just installed this week over here at Trojan Field in Tama. And so the first game played on the brand new scoreboard, christened with a win. So congrats to the Frosh team on their close victory here tonight. It's pretty warm yet after a sweltering heat wave we've had through the middle of the week. Temperatures have cooled down a little bit if you happen to be elsewhere in the country. It is incredibly warm this week over here in Tama, Iowa. So football programs all around the state kind of having to improvise a little bit as heat advisories and extremely high temperatures have kind of forced changes in plans. And we'll get a look at pardon me there. Tonight's Trojan Country broadcast is brought to you by a whole host of local sponsors. We do thank these folks very much for their support of Trojan Country, and that means getting live play-by-play action out onto the air to our South Tama community. Those folks include Berkwood Village of Tama, Toledo, Salt Creek Wind, Mercy Care Tama, State Bank of Toledo, S&S Car Wash, Cruzy Phillips Funeral Home, Robach Lumber, Stein Robach Floor Coverings, Medicap Pharmacy, Mark West and Hoyer Law Office, Assured Partners Insurance, Appraisal and Realty Services, Sharn Webbers, and the Farmer's Daughter Photography. Trojan Country broadcasts are also made possible by the Charlie Townsley Memorial. So here you're seeing on the screen here the STC Frosh team huddle up after a 2-point win over the Roland-Story Norse. Sun beginning to set as the shadows creep into the 50-yard line here, as we are about 45 minutes away from kickoff here in Tama, Iowa. All right, we'll be back with the Coach's Corner interview with our STC volleyball program and get a preview on their season. They're getting ready to start action on Saturday at the Grinnell tournament. And then we'll have their first game live here on Trojan Country Monday evening, live from Montezuma High School. So stay tuned for some words from our STC volleyball coaches after this.
Say, girl, where you at? got your number. I know your time. We are just reasons without rhyme. Yeah. It's such in your soul to see who you are. What can you hope to find? But to your world, or maybe some laughter. Isn't it peace of mind? And will you find what you're looking for? Or do you even know for sure? All things have a meaning. All things have a time. We are just reasons without a rhyme. Yeah. Without a
Tonight we're talking about volleyball with three of our South Tama High School volleyball coaches. I'm joined by Ashley Rowie, Emily Chima, and Amy Dolash. Folks, thanks so much for giving us some time here. How are we doing after practice here on a very hot Thursday?
It's gone really well. The girls were quite exhausted from the heat, but they're giving it their all during practice and really showing improvements through preseason lifting and all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you guys been at? When did you guys start official practice? How long has that been going on now? Here, kind of late into August.
First week in August is first official practices, but we've been lifting 4 days a week, and then we have a scrimmage once a week, and then we have open gyms the other day of the week. So we've been going out at it hard.
Yeah. Absent here is Coach Sam Cantonwine on maternity leave. How has that been for you guys, sort of kind of celebrating that with her and getting ready for a season knowing that she's going to be away from the program a little bit? How's that been?
We've been missing Sam a lot, but we're super excited that Millie is finally here. And the girls have been really excited about that. It's been a nice transition though. Rowie's done such a great job at moving over into the position, and we're getting things settled down. Amy's been an absolute saint coming in and so strong with all this stuff. So I feel like we're a good staff still.
Yeah. And you guys have all been around the program for quite a while now. Amy, you're coming back helping out after being the head coach. What's it like coming back into this high school system after a little time away?
It's been a nice transition, actually, because, like you said, being the head coach several years ago, and then Sam took over when I stepped down. But I've been involved with the AAU program all the time, and it's just kind of nice to step back in and help these guys out in time of need. And my daughter's playing, so I get to be right there with her all the time, too, so that helps.
Yeah, definitely exciting. A team this
That's
year,
mute.
you guys graduated
Right.
several off of last year's squad. How has the preseason process been? What
I'm
is
muted.
the volleyball program busy doing during the summer months, and what does the lead up look like heading into the regular season?
We've done some camps together. The girls have really come together. They're working as a unit. We did have a lot of leadership and people graduate last year, but there's some great girls in there stepping up to the job, and they're taking it head on. We've had, a few things are here or there, but they've come through, and I feel like they're a much stronger team and working really hard together.
Yep. Anybody else thoughts on preseason? Anything else come up for you guys?
We've really been working on that vocal leadership part. So, like Ashley was saying, we lost a lot of that last year. Just knowing that you have a voice and how much you can use that on the court to be good leaders. So like you're saying, I think the seniors are really stepping up, and we work on that a lot, just making sure we're loud in the gym and understanding how our voices are really important, both on and off the court.
Can you talk a little bit about your captains for this season, who they are, some of the characteristics that you sort of recognized in those girls, and what they sort of bring to the team from a leadership standpoint?
We have 2 senior captains this year. One is Gloria Mullen, and the other one is Natalie Meek. Gloria is an outside hitter. She's actually an all-around player, so she's out there quite a bit of the time. She has that voice that the other girls really look up to her, and they're willing to listen to whatever that she says. And then Natalie's our libero, so she's always talking, she's always hyped up. She has a really high energy level that she tends to bring to the court. So.
Looking through just on paper last year's roster, setting it next to what we see this year getting ready to start, you lose some players off that front line. Can you talk a little bit about the front line for the South Tama offense this year, or offense and defense both, and just a little bit about the hitters that we're going to see out on the court there this season?
So Glow did play outside last year, but she played a lot of just front row. So she's kind of stepping into that role of what Courtney Babinette played, where she's going to be that all-around outside hitter, and she's bringing some strong hits. Jeanette Cervantes is going to be the other outside hitter. She's bringing some heat. Skyla Beck is our new setter, because Molly Woolbeater had graduated last year. She's very active on the court and running the court. Then we have Kaylee Keene, who's also starting this year. She's a senior. She's really working on getting that middle attack and the block up. Mary Kate Franks is also becoming a big role in playing that right side all the way around.
For some of those girls that did see varsity time last year, what growth have you seen in some of those kids coming into that front line? How have they improved, do you think, over the off season?
I feel like they've improved greatly. Even Macy, who played last year on varsity, I feel like her leadership and her skills and everything, they've all come a really long ways. They're proving themselves. They want to be there, and they're putting in the work to show it.
So, of course, we didn't mention Macy Welsh. We'll see her as well. She spent a good time on the front line for South Tama last year, and adding some height, too, with, 5'10", 5'11", maybe. Talk a little bit about the backcourt, some of the defenders for South Tama. Who are we going to see in those positions this year?
Natalie Meek, I already talked about. She's our libero, so she'll be that left back. We have Ashley Finch. She'll be our middle back. She's also a senior. She's getting in some good pipe hits and good defense. Millie Mathis-Henley is also back there in our middle back row. We have Zoe Smolik. Sorry. She's our right side, so she's getting in there from time to time too for us.
What does it mean to or what are the challenges, maybe is a better question, for somebody stepping into the libero position for the first time? How has that transition gone for Natalie? And is that, I have to imagine that's got to be a challenging thing, but what are some of those things she's working through as she's getting ready to be that full-time spot for the Trojans?
So Natalie was actually libero for the JV last year, so she has some experience with it, but stepping into that varsity role, it's a much faster-paced game. She's doing really well at our scrimmages and everything. She's always listening for feedback and wanting corrections if she needs it, and she's really there to hype up that team, and that's kind of what that libero does, is it helps bring the energy to the team.
What do you look for South Tama? What will you consider a successful season for this group of girls? What are the things that you're hoping to see improvement on, comparing last season to this season, or looking forward to this season? What do you think South Tama needs to do to improve upon how we ended last year?
Well, the girls would probably tell you a better record. But I'm going to say just the working together, the goals that we've kind of set for ourselves, the being more vocal and really moving as a unit. That's what I'm going to call a successful season, like to prove that we've come a long ways.
Emily, Amy, any thoughts from you about just overall impressions about this group of girls as a unit together, thinking about them comparing to last year's group, or what they're going to bring going forward?
It has been a real joy to be with them this summer. They have picked up the pace. In the weight room, they came and they went hard every day and really set the tone, while these seniors really, really stepped up to the challenge that Sam had set for them, and they've done an exceptional job. It's a different vibe this year, but it's a lot of fun. Like watching practice today, they were running different plays. They were talking to each other and hyping each other up and bringing up just a different speed of things. And that's one success I think we would also say is if our game has sped up, because that's a goal that we have set as coaches to go faster. They've really done a great job, and we're all feeling really excited for this season to see how they can play at a faster pace. So this Saturday will be a good judge of that, and Monday at Monty will be a good one too.
Yeah. Tell us just your first couple contests this first week. What's that going to look like schedule-wise for the Trojans? Game-wise, yeah.
Well, we start out this Saturday. We're all somewhere, so it's a really busy first weekend for us. Normally, we start out playing Grinnell, but Grinnell joined our conference this year, so that got moved back in the schedule for conference play. So instead, we start out this weekend. Varsity is going to be at the Grinnell Invite, so a lot of good competition there. It'll be a good first, game and I should say sets of games for everybody to see how that lineup worked out that Rowie's been talking about. JV is going to be down at Williamsburg, so we'll have our full JV team down there, which we do have a lot of girls on that JV group. So Chima will get to work through a lot of different things, get a lot of girls some playing time and different looks on the court, and then I'll have the Frosh group up at Dyke New Hartford.
Oh, wow.
So all different areas there, but it should be good because, again, everyone's getting some playing time, and then we move right into Monday where we go down to Montezuma and play Monty for a non-conference game. And then we have a little bit of a buffer because we got a week there until the following Saturday. Varsity goes to BCLUW. They always go to that tournament, Labor Day weekend kind of thing. And then we start conference play after that. So we got CCA coming in right after that, and that's going to really start the tough stuff.
Talk a little bit about the WAMAC. What have you had any time to scout some of these teams? What do you know about any of the other teams in the WAMAC? How does that look this year for South Tama?
We know CCA is going to be CCA, right? So Clear Creek Amana, they always have a good team. They had a bunch of studs last year. They're going to have more again this year. It's just kind of how their program works and where they're located. They get a lot of girls in their program, and really they have a lot. Like I think we heard like 70 girls went out, something like that. Yeah. Crazy amount of girls out in their program compared to us. We're in the low 30s. Williamsburg is in the 20s, and then we've got Benton and Vinton in the mix there. And again, Grinnell is kind of that new one on the west side of the conference. So I think we've got a good chance to be right in the middle there and give these guys some good games. But there's a lot of graduates, so I know we'll have to see kind of who steps up on those teams as well and see how the season progresses.
All right. Well, thank you very much, coaches, for your time. Best of luck on your busy weekend this weekend. We'll be excited to catch up with you on Monday at the Monty game, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.
That was South Tama coaches Ashley Rowie, Emily Chima, and Amy Dolash.
I was born in a dump. My mama died and my daddy got drunk. Left me here to die grow in the middle of Tobacco Road.
All right, football season is back, and that means Coach's Corner here with South Tama head football coach Nate Dorn. Nate, how are you doing today? It's been a hot week. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm hot, but I'm good. I'm good.
Talk a little bit about that. How have you guys been managing kind of this crazy heat wave this week on game week nonetheless? How's the team been handling it?
As good as we can, I guess. I don't know how everybody else is doing it. We went from morning, Tuesday and Wednesday, which was great. We still got about an hour, almost 2 hours of practice in. Kids were great. Attitudes were great. We're going tonight. We got to get, acclimated to this heat. So we're going to go tonight here a little later, about 6:45. We're going to go out on the game field and get that acclimated. And other than that, we're just doing what we got to do, just like everybody else.
Yeah. Can you walk me a little bit through the off season, just how the summer progressed for you guys, and what went into the build up leading up to where we are here in week 1?
Actually, our off-season workouts were great. We had a lot of kids in the weight room. The thing is, all those kids that were in the weight room are all the kids that we have now. Our numbers are really low. I mean, we're sitting at 20 kids at the varsity level with juniors and seniors. So, but we got, my biggest thing is, man, the effort, the attitude, and these guys holding each other accountable has just been amazing. I haven't seen anything like it in a long time. We're low numbers, but quality kids.
Yep. Caught an article from the Times Republican recently, mentioned something EAA. What is EAA for you guys in this team?
EAA, that's our effort, attitude, and accountability. That's 3 things that you can control every single day, no matter what's going on. You come to practice no matter what the situation is. You get in the classroom, wherever the situation is. You as an individual can control your EAA. That's your effort, your attitude, and your accountability. So we're really pushing that.
How do you feel your leaders on this team have kind of responded to that message as you're trying to impart that on these kids this year so far?
It's good. It's great. And one thing that's kind of really cool to see is like a kid's doing something in practice or he's kind of loafing it. Somebody else say, "Where's your EAA?" They'll kind of check each other on that. And that's that accountability part that we're really trying to push. And I mean, one of these things, that we're definitely going to do is football is football. It's a great sport, but at the end of the day, they got to take these lessons into life. And that's what we're pushing.
Right. Talk a little bit about your 3 captains. You've got Gavin Bridgewater, Kyan McBride, big contributors to last year's team, and then Cody Blocker coming on there. Can you just talk about what you see, what characteristics you see from those guys that kind of helped make that decision to put them in that leadership position this year?
They were the guys that the kids wanted, and the coaches had no hesitation to make them the captain as well. Gavin Bridgewell, obviously a captain last year. He's played that role all through the summer and as well right into the practice at the beginning of the season. Kyan McBride is another one. He's changed his body. He's changed his role. He's showed up. He's been there. He's a guy that's played for us since a sophomore. He had a much better junior year, really stepped up. And then Cody Blocker's that kid that he's just going to give you. He's a quiet kid, but he does everything he can. He's that definite show, not tell guy. So we really have some great captains, great leaders this year.
Yeah. I kind of want to go around the field a little bit and just get your thoughts on some of the kind of specialty units looking, on both sides of the ball. I kind of want to start first with the offensive line. What can you tell us about the offensive line for the South Tama Trojans this year? Who are they? What are they doing well? What are some of the things you're thinking about with this O-line?
Offensive line is just, Kyan McBride is pretty much the only guy right now that's coming back that's got a lot of time besides Miggy. Miguel Medina, he's our center. He's coming back a little undersized, but that kid's got the heart of a lion. Kyan, obviously, an all-district player last year and a captain this year, so he'll lead that O-line for us. We got some newer guys, big bodies coming in. Keaton Sokol that played light a bit not as much last year, broke his hand, so this is going to be his first real varsity experience. Josh Stahl's another big kid that's new this year as a junior coming in. Jacob Youngbear is transitioned from that fullback linebacker position. He's going to play some guard for us this year. Wyatt Sermon's another one, Tex, we call him. He's done a great job of filling in. He does some backup center and some guard for us as well. So we got kids with some experience, but we got kids with heart that's really going to do it for us.
And then under center, looks like Daniel Weiss is going to be kind of your week 1 starter and coming in after an absence from the team a little bit. How has he kind of fit into this system and this team coming in as a senior, and what are you seeing from him so far?
Well, I know Daniel for many years through basketball. I've coached him for those last 3 years of basketball. I know his heart and I know his spirit and I know what he's capable of. I think football was something that he wasn't sure because he was kind of on the smaller side. For the last couple of years, he's changed his body. He's really built into his body, and the kid's confident. He's come in with confident. He understands what he's doing. He knows his role, and he's here to lead a team.
What are the things that he does well? How are you kind of putting this offense around him to succeed? Like what kind of things does Daniel bring to this team?
I would say the first thing is coachable. He has been fantastically coachable. If Coach Bridgewater gives him something, he responds very well. He doesn't back talk. He doesn't whatever. He's just coachable. He's all a sponge. He's soaking everything up, and he's one of those guys that's kind of a hype guy. Everybody likes him. He's high fiving people. He's got a great spirit. So we need that in a leader, and he's got that.
And then can you talk a little bit about your receivers, your running backs, who's returning? What are some of the things you're looking at from those offensive weapons?
Returning this year, tight end Jeremy Dolash, which has played quite a bit of freshman varsity. Sorry, he was a sophomore player for us, and then the two-way starter for us last year. He played a little quarterback to us, yes. So he's a guy that can get things done for us. The other side is Tyrus Clegg, that played a little bit as a sophomore last year. He stepped into the Z role for us, and then Chase Gustafson is a new kid. He's changed his body. He's a fast kid, athletic, and he's going to be at that X receiver. Okay. Bringing Anthony Thompson, that has played quite a bit as football. This is his first year varsity season. So, and then we got Kinzer Janetti will be back in there, and then Drayton White is another kid that stepped in for us. So we got a kind of a young crew, but we got guys that want to play and have great hearts.
Yep. Then flipping let's talk a little bit first about kind of the offensive playbook. What, from an offensive scheme sort of perspective, what can we look to see from the South Tama team this year? What kind of offense are you looking to run?
Kind of the same. We got a lot of guys that, we use Gavin as much as possible in situations, but we're not going to make him so predictable. We're going to put him in situations where you have to kind of check and find out where he's at. We got a weapon now with a real quarterback, not really saying a real quarterback, but a quarterback that wants to be there and chose to be there and understands the role. We've got some great weapons that come in. The Weisworth Kinzer is a good kid, comes in for us quite a bit. And then Jeremy Dolash is another kid that's transitioned a lot for us, and Tyrus Clegg. So we got some weapons. We got some guys. And we're going to move them around, and we're going to show some different looks.
Yeah. On the defensive line, do you guys have a lot of linemen that are playing both ways? Do you have some kids that are only specializing on the D-line? What's that defensive line look like this year?
Yeah, we got a couple guys that are a defensive specialist. Not really say defensive specialist because we're going to use them all the time, but Juan Rubos, which has played since a sophomore for us, he holds down that middle for us, big dog. Marty Garcia is another big dog that got back. He's each year he's come back. He's got hurt, but he's stuck it out, and this year everything's been good. Kinzer Jeanette's an end position for us. He's a great hard-nosed kid. He'll be playing that strong job. Jeremy Dolash. In the middle, we got Jacob and Kyan, which are all experienced players. That's one thing about our defense. I'd say about 75% of our team is all starters from last year, and all have varsity experience.
So Jacob moving, he was linebacker a lot last year, right?
Yes.
So how has that transition been from him kind of coming from that backer into the line this year?
Oh, he's definitely still being the linebacker, but he's going to help us out at that guard position as well. So it's in his blood, man. I played with his dad, and his dad was a great linebacker and pulling guard for us as well. So it's in his blood.
Right. Talk a little bit about this year's linebacking squad. Who are the linebackers for the Trojans? What do they do well? What are you looking for them coming up into this season?
We got kids that are we got athletes. We got kids that like to move and they like to hit. Gavin Bridgewater leading that off. Kyan McBride, we moved from probably the D-line position. He's changed his body a little bit. He moves really well and he has a nose for the ball, so we put him at that middle position. Jacob Youngbear's a returner from last year that did great at that wheel spot for us. Yeah, he's an undersized guy, but he's got the heart of a gold man. That kid knows where the ball is at all times. Chase Gustafson's an outside backer for us. He's really speedy and a hard-nosed kid. Kinzer Jeanette's another one that's out there for us. And then Drake White is a new kid that's coming in this year that's going to help us out and been great at practice.
And then wrapping it up here, the backfield. Who are the cornerbacks, defensive backs, safeties? Who do we got in the backfield for the Trojans?
Cody, blocker right now, captain for us. He's going to be at that corner. Tyrus Clegg will be another corner with some varsity experience as a sophomore. And then Daniel Weiss is coming in at that safety position right now for us. And then we got another one, Anthony Thompson, that's got quite a bit of playing time. He'll come in when we do that nickel situation. So we got some experience there and some kids that want to play.
What are you looking for this team as far as improvement? You guys have a very challenging, competitive district schedule this year. What things are you working on and looking to see from this group going into the regular season? What will be a successful campaign for you guys?
Becoming a team. I mean, I can say that for years. The best thing to do is become a team. That's one thing that we've kind of lost here and there. When you're having a lot of success, you start getting people that want to be individuals, and that's kind of what's happened a little bit. And I'm not saying taking any away from anybody, but that's just something that we haven't really had a team, a solid team. And these guys have done fantastic together this last week. They stay together, they hang out together. We've done a lot of more things, I guess, this year to kind of build that teamwork and that camaraderie as brotherhood. So that's one thing. As long as we stay together as a team, I think that anything can happen.
Do you guys have a practice captain for this week? Who's that, or if you do, and tell us a little bit about them?
We have not announced that yet. I'm going to let the coaches make that decision at the end of this practice.
All righty. Well, that's to TBD then. That'll be exciting to hear on Friday. And then lastly, Roland-Story. What do you know about this team? We haven't seen them since the mid-2010s. What is kind of the game plan for this Roland-Story team?
We're going to go out there and give it our best. They're a big squad. Watching their scrimmage, I don't know a lot about them. They're big. They're big. They got some great athletes. Their running back he's a fighter. That kid can move. He gets an open field. He's gone. He's hard to bring down. Quarterback's smart. They got a couple big receivers and some tight ends. Their line's pretty big. But the thing is, I think just like us, when we look at the scrimmage, they got a lot of those same numbers going both ways and special teams. So we're going to be pretty equal on the field when it comes to that, with numbers on guys playing both ways and special teams as well.
All right. Well, thanks very much for the time, Coach. Hope you get into some air conditioning later today. It's been crazy out here this week, and best of luck against Roland-Story here tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Darvin. Appreciate it.
I've been trying so hard to get next to you.
Good evening, South Tama Trojan fans. Welcome to week 1 of Iowa high school football action. We're live from Trojan Field, as you can see, and I'm joined by a full house here in the press box at Trojan Field. I'm joined by Nate Van Dyke and George Cuter. Gentlemen, thanks so much for making some time on this warm evening, being up in a hot press box. Glad you're here. How are we doing this evening?
Doing great.
Glad to be here. It's always kind of exciting on that first game of the season. Everybody's usually pretty pumped up, and a lot of unknowns out there.
Absolutely. So week 1, South Tama taking on Roland-Story. George, you got to look at that Frosh game on the PA announcing. Tell us a little bit what you saw from this first outing for South Tama's Frosh team.
Well, the freshmen, it's, you bring it in a really talented freshman class with a lot of good players in it, but they're small. I know in middle school last year and in 7th grade, they only had like 13 or 14 kids, and they're even smaller than that now because a couple of kids didn't come out. But I was really impressed with the plain and simple fact that there's freshman leaders in that group. And the freshman leaders, you mix them with a really good sophomore class, which we kind of have. The kids that they have, you get kids like Michael Henry and Gavin Bridgewater and Eric Medina and those guys. And it just gels well. And they played, they played together when they were little. They played together last year. The year before they practiced together. So it's nice. I like to see the plain and simple idea of keeping them together moving up. And we were talking about it at halftime. Even if you take the freshmen and the sophomores and you start most of them at a varsity level next year, they're still going to be sophomores and juniors. And they're playing, but at least they're playing together, and you got that continuity where, sometimes at the varsity level, you take the best players of all classes and you mix them together and they don't gel. But I think this freshman sophomore class is going to gel. And you know what? There's going to be some surprises here at the varsity level too. And that just comes from the plain and simple fact that when the freshmen win and get everybody pumped up in the stadium, that just gives some kind of a vibe to the varsity. And we'll see what happens with the varsity level and how it's contagious. But I think football here at South Tama in the next couple of years is going to be back on the upswing. And it'll be fun to see.
Well, that's great. That's encouraging to hear. It's been an uphill climb the last few years, as many Trojan fans know. And but a new season brings new hope for the program, and we're excited to be here for it. And George, I'm going to get it back to you, over to you, if you can kind of talk us through the lineups here a little bit for these two varsity squads. We got about 10 minutes away from kickoff here at Trojan Field, and tell us some lineups.
Well, just looking back at the lineups for this varsity squad for Roland-Story, mainly they've got a nice team that's coming back. They're a playoff team even with a losing record, but they play a lot of, just out of proximity, they play a lot of 3A teams. So they get a lot of 3A experience. They get a lot of experience being the underdog, and they're just looking at their roster and looking at their players from last year. They all look alike. It's honestly They're 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" type guys, and they're bigger guys. They're going to be faster than all get out watching them on the track last spring. But I think what they're doing is at Roland-Story, they had a kind of a down year last year with a losing record, and I can't remember if I saw it on their website or if I saw it in a newspaper clipping, but they have their just the football tradition over there, over at Roland-Story. It's been years and years, and they've just had good football and good teams. But this team is going to be for a 2A team. It's going to be pretty decent, and they're going to be able to compete against a lot of teams. South Tama Trojans, it's kind of the opposite story. We got a lot of good football players, but there's just not very many of them, and that's been the kind of the story for the last year. We're going to be led by Gavin Bridgewater. And he's Mr. Everything. And Coach Van Dyke can talk about that, and it's very easy. He's just a good old-fashioned tough kid, and that's half the fun of it. But you mix in with Gavin now playing running back. I don't think he's going to get as beat up as he did in the past, trying to play quarterback and trying to do everything. He's got some guys to spread the ball out with. You got you've got an improved offensive line. Daniel Weiss is back at quarterback, so you've got a kid who's smart, and he's going to make good decisions at the quarterback spot. He's not going to try and do everything. He knows what's going on. The thing that's going to hurt Daniel the most is probably inexperience with there, but you got Jeremy Dolosh there. You got Jacob Youngbear, and I've heard rumors. We were just talking about this. He's 5'11", 170 pounds. He can do anything. He can play a safety. He can play a linebacker. He can play a defensive lineman. He can, but he's just one of those kids that just want to get out. And he wants to play football. And you got a lot of experience coming back from last year. So that's going to be a positive for South Tama with Cody Blocker and Kinzer Jeanette and all of those guys and Tyrus Clegg. Those juniors we're going to be good. We're going to be good. We might not blow the socks off everybody, but I think that we're going to be able to compete.
Yeah, as long as everybody stays healthy, that's going to be the name of the game with such a shallow roster. Nate, you're over at the high school. How's the first couple days of class been over there for you guys at the high school building? So
well, we call it the honeymoon period, right? Because everybody's, things are still pretty new in there. Maybe the kids are still a little bit scared of you or whatever the case. But no, it's probably the best first 3 days of school we've had in quite some time.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Kind of like you said, talking with Coach Bridgewater and Coach Doran, a lot of hype builds up at the beginning of the football season, and maybe the pregame speech, you're not trying to get them too excited right now because everybody's kind of nerved up the way it is.
Right. Absolutely, and bear with us if you're watching us here this evening. Our camera does tremble a little bit, and that's just because we're on a set of bleachers. There's a lot of people on the bleachers, so if you see the camera shaking a little bit, we're doing the best we can to kind of get it stable for you. But we got about 7 minutes away from kickoff here, and we'll go through some matchups around the district and around the area while we're waiting for the national anthem. The STC marching band here on the track getting ready for that as well. And you can see the cheerleaders over, and here the Trojans come ready to march on the field. So South Tama in 3A District 3, first action on this 2-year district now. It's going to be led by preseason number 2 ranked Williamsburg coming up from 2A. Number 7 preseason ranked Solon, and then Benton Community, Grinnell, Fairfield, and South Tama rounding it out. Williamsburg tonight taking on West Branch. Benton Community taking on Vinton, Shellsburg. Solon at Davenport Assumption. Grinnell taking on Center Point Urbana. Fairfield at Mount Pleasant. South Tama, of course, right here to take on the Roland-Story Norsemen. Around the area, Charles City, our Week 2 opponent, is at Olwine. Knoxville is at Boone. CPU taking on Jessup. Union Community at Appleton Parkersburg. And Gladbrook Rhinebeck taking on Don Bosco. That's a huge matchup in Week 1 over there in Class A or Class 8. Gladbrook, we typically don't see that game until late in the season, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. GMG taking on Collins Maxwell. East Marshall versus BCL UW. Belle Plaine at HLV. BGM hosting the Meskwaki Settlement Warriors. The Warriors back in action after a year off last season. And so, yeah, that rounds out the matchups. We got the Trojans on the field getting ready for the national anthem here in a few moments. Thanks to our sponsors. Those folks include Berkwood Village of Tama, Toledo, Salt Creek Wind, Mercy Care Tama, S&S Car Wash, State Bank of Toledo, Cruzy Phillips Funeral Home, Robach Lumber, Stein Robach Floor Coverings, Medicap Pharmacy, Mark West and Hoyer Law Office, Assured Partners Insurance, Appraisal and Realty Services, Sharn Webbers, and the Farmer's Daughter Photography. Trojan Country broadcasts are also made possible by the Charlie Townsend Memorial. All righty. And we're going to have the national anthem here, and then it's going to be time for kickoff. We're going to take off the headsets, and we'll be right back with you after the anthem has concluded. All righty, we've just had our national anthem, and we are just under 3 minutes away from kickoff here at Trojan Field. South Tama and Roland-Story facing off in week one. Of course, next week we have Charles City on the road. Some volleyball coming your way next week, too. Guys, what do you think? First couple possessions, what are you looking for from this South Tama unit here tonight?
I think they're going to try to establish the run and try to move the ball in small chunks and play a little field position.
That's going to be the key. I think this is going to be a game. This will be a game of attrition. If you let Roland-Story get out and start manhandling you, they're going to move you out of the way. But I think with the size of our backs and the speed of our backs, Cody Blocker's, probably one of the fastest kids.
It's nice to have him back.
Yeah, it's nice to have him back. He's a little bit bigger. I've noticed he's a little bit bigger and he's a little bit stronger. So hopefully he's a little bit tougher, and he's just not necessarily going to be injury prone like he's been in the past.
He's missed last 2 seasons with collarbones. I think so.
And
broken his collarbone 2 or 3 times. So we got the captains out there right now. Gavin Bridgewater, Cody Blocker, Kyan McBride, and Daniel Weiss.
Daniel Weiss might be the practice captain this week.
Daniel's had a tough learning curve.
Well, he missed. He played as a freshman.
Yep.
And didn't go out as a sophomore and a junior.
Yeah. Played a lot of golf though.
Hopefully, there's some carryover there. Hopefully, he can carry that success over.
Yeah, and
hopefully, success breeds success, right?
That's the mental toughness we both need. It's when you're standing over a 3-foot putt for a 39.
Yeah.
And you can't 4-putt from 3 feet.
Also, we got a brand new scoreboard we're sporting tonight.
Absolutely, yep.
They just put it in yesterday, I think.
Yep. And thanks to John Sermon he got a crew together of businesses, essentially told the Booster Club they shouldn't be paying for a scoreboard. They should spend it on the kids, and just a lot of hard work on his part to get that scoreboard in with the brand new, with the play clocks too.
Yep.
So it's a
big lift here this year, kind of getting this field up to par.
Field looks nice.
Yeah.
For no more rain than we had this summer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sprinklers are probably running 2 or 3 times a day.
It'll be nice and soft here as we get going.
Looks like Tyrus Clegg goes back to receive the kick. And Gustafson and Blocker back there as well.
Tyrus could be the linchpin. He could be. Look for him. If you need some speed around the corner or so, I think that you're going to be in pretty good shape just giving the ball to him. And like we said before, the coach said before too, is Chase Gustafson. He's a tough bird.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. He's been on the back of a bull. He's there's not a lot of fear factor in that kid.
Oh no.
145 pounds.
Lean and mean.
So Bridgewater goes back with Clegg now.
And the kick's away.
Tyrus
First quarter
Clegg, little
action.
confusion.
Yep. What happened there? They didn't blow the whistle.
They didn't blow it to start the game. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Clegg caught the ball and kind of stood there. His arms raised a little bit.
I think one of the things is this 5-man. They got a 5-man crew, and they've had a 4-man crew during the game. So I think the crews, they don't get these officials don't get a whole lot of preseason.
No.
They just
might get one scrimmage.
They get a scrimmage game, and usually the scrimmage game is so controlled that it's not a really good workout for them. But with the shortage of officials, I know there's a lot of teams that don't have officials tonight, so they had to move games till tomorrow and Thursday.
Wow.
And, they played last night.
And that's not unique to the sport of football either.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we have number 15, Sam Knoll, getting
off.
ready to kick the ball for the Norseman. And this one's going to
boots
go to
in the
Clegg
air.
as well.
Now it goes.
Drops the ball.
Pick the ball up and go. There you go.
So Clegg moves the ball forward to the 25-yard line.
Setting up first down for the STC Trojans.
This is where it starts to get fun. This is where you get to see what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
You love to see everybody healthy coming into the season here. You obviously hope that can maintain, and hope that we get to keep those weapons and see what they can do.
We'll have some surprise. We may not win a whole lot of games. South Demon may not win a whole lot of games, but I think they're going to be in more games than people think. With 20 guys, you got 20 tough kids. We should be okay. There it is.
All right, so it's a quarter.
That's Weiss, little quarterback sneak, about 2 yards.
Quarterback keeper around the right side. Looked like a double wing look. So
Yeah.
if South Tama runs that, we're going to see a lot of motion both in front of and behind Weiss.
That's something new for Coach Doran, getting that much movement there before the play starts.
2nd and 8 for the Trojans on their first drive. We just moments into this first period.
Miguel Medina going up to snap the ball for the Trojans. Snap to Weiss. He's going to give it to Blocker around the left side. Gets past the end.
Cody Blocker on the carry for the Trojans.
Not much going.
By Boaz Clark.
We're gonna
Brings up third down for South Tama now.
Let's give them one there.
Gonna bring up third
So
and
Tyrus
6 for the
Clegg
Trojans.
running the play in for South Tama.
South Tama's offensive line, Miguel Medina is the center. Offensive linemen are Wyatt Sermon, Kyan McBride, Keaton Sokol, and Josh Stull. So you got some big bodies out there.
Medina, McBride returning starters.
Yep. Sokol, too, was a starter for
Yeah,
the
I think
last
he might have
part.
got hurt
That was the
yeah.
the
Grinnell.
first game, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that against West Marshall?
It was. I remember
And
that.
he had a
yep.
broken arm or something. He came back late in the season.
Timeout. It's gonna bring up 3rd and 6 for the Trojans. Ball on the
So now
30-yard
3rd
line.
and 6 here for Weiss, Bridgewater, and the Trojans. Key possession.
Weiss drops back to
pass.
pass. Hits Bridgewater, and he's around the corner.
He's got first down.
Pass complete to Bridgewater.
So Weiss 1 for 1 on the season with a first down.
5, Heston Johnson. Charlie Watts also went on the
And the benefit, Weiss, an undersized quarterback, but he's got an arm. He's been on the pitcher's mound for several years for the baseball team. He knows how to kind of work the levers, throw the ball hard, and
He's put a lot of time in the weight room. He's really bought into the strength aspect. Him and both he and Chase Gustafson, who we were talking about earlier.
1st and 10 for the Trojans.
A double wing blocker in motion behind Weiss. Looks like an option. Flips it out to blocker late.
He just swarmed.
Oh.
He swarmed. That's the one thing that Roland-Story has got going for it. They've got, like I said, on defense, their line, they're doing a little 4-4, but they go 6'2", 6'1", 5'11", and 5'11", but they're 249, 271, 210, and 285. And the linebackers are not small guys either. They're all up above about 200 pounds.
So you kind of wonder late in the game with our numbers no better than they are if they can kind of lean on us a little bit.
And if they just swarm to the ball playing that 4-4 and just they don't give you room to breathe.
ISO to Weiss. Blocker leads up the hole. We get about 5 yards there.
Yeah. And that's what you're going to have to do. I truly think that South Tama is just going to have to get Daniel Weiss involved in a game like that, and then all of a sudden Bridgewater comes in. If you keep him fresh,
Oh, yeah.
he can
Explosive.
just beat up people down there.
Because he just had to carry the ball so much a year ago, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he
Carry it and snap it and punt it and
Yeah.
receive it. I mean, it was everything for the
It's-
poor kid, yeah.
almost like an overuse thing with him when he was a sophomore and he was a junior, and you don't want to see that now because it's going to be a long season for him, and it got wrestling season coming up, so you don't want to get hurt.
Here's
Flip
third.
is a toss to blocker, and he's caught in the backfield. That's number 0.
This one,
That's Charlie Watts, the
That's
all-state
Charlie.
linebacker there.
yeah,
Crazy thing about it is he's listed as a junior as well. It's pretty rare to be a
yeah.
all-state varsity football player as a sophomore last year.
And that's the big thing. That's you got a kid. You get a kid like that, and they did some switching around where they took their last year's quarterback and they made him a running back. So you know that they're going to have some speed.
Well, the
If
other thing
that.
is Watts is only listed as a starter on defense.
Yeah.
Usually you got an all-state caliber kid, he might think that he can start on both sides of the ball.
He's kind of a small guy. He's not.
So Adrian Valle punting the ball. Tyrus Clegg gets down there. He's going to down it at about the 23-yard line.
Yep. First.
And so now we get our first look at this Roland-Story offense.
Roland-Story's offense is going to be good. It's led by Sam Knoll, 6'2", 173, a junior. Running back is Heston Johnson. He was their old quarterback from last year, 6'1", 182. And you got 3 wide receivers, 6'3", 6'2", 6'5", and then all of a sudden you got a tight end called Roland Yates. The kid's 6'2", 249 pounds.
I'm guessing he's an extra tackle in there.
I would be. He's
Extra
an extra
lineman.
kid, because if he can get down the ball, I remember that kid from Pella they had last year that was about 19 feet tall and weighed 300 pounds that could get down the ball.
Okay, it's a handoff to Johnson, Heston Johnson. Looks like Weiss on the tackle. Weiss and McBride.
And it's going to be a swarming. It's going to be a swarming defense. The Trojans are going to have to stop these guys up front. And you just, the bad part about it is that defensively you can't get Roland-Story can't get on the outside because they'll just be gone.
Hand it off to Johnson again up the middle, and he bounces it a bit. He's going to pick up 6 yards in there.
And he'll be the workhorse. He'll be. They're going to, and he's the only one. Listed in the varsity starters as a running back, so he's going to be the workhorse. But you take a look at this. That Yates kid is actually lining up.
Yeah, there's a big fullback there.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's in a position to get the ball. They're going to hand it off to Johnson again. And it looked like Young Bear kind of got in there, maybe ran past a little bit, but
Strong tackle there by the Trojan defense, setting up third down. Third and short, though.
might have been Juan Robles in there.
And Juan, for as big as he is, I'm surprised. I stopped by practice a week ago or so, and he was running some pretty good agilities.
He can move his feet.
Yeah, and that's what you need. You know, you've got some big guys, but like Juan last year, he matured into the position. He started out and he was kind of slow and lumbering, and as he learns the position, he's going to get better.
Third and short, they give it to Johnson again, and he picks up the first down. The 6-yard gain.
That's 20. They've run 4 plays. He's averaging 5 yards a run.
The Norseman moving the ball here. in their first possession, mid-first quarter.
And every play for the Norsemen, correct me if I'm wrong, is Sam Knoll handing off the ball to Heston Johnson.
Exactly. They're probably buddies from a long time ago, played football together since they were 3.
Yeah, at recess.
Yep.
Okay, now we get some motion. And the ball's blown dead.
That was actually looked like they had 2 guys moving at the same time. And maybe my eyes I'm seeing a few things, but
Well, they're going to move him back 5 yards.
Yep. We'll take it.
Looks like they were trying to maybe get the ball to number 25,
Right.
Wilkinson. And he's a senior who's 6'2", 209.
Yeah.
As far as what he's listed.
It's like they just keep coming.
And he's out there kind of on the outside. But they're going to go back to Heston Johnson, number 5, and he bounces it to the outside.
He got popped, yep.
I think Tyrus Clegg came up and put a little lick on him.
Yep. He picked up about 3 yards.
So you got Clegg out there at about 140, 145, 145 pounds.
Yeah.
You talk about another tough kid. He's, he was a freshman, and he played kind of like a pistol in the freshman class, and he just ran the ball.
He was a quarterback,
20,
wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Quarterback
20,
there.
30 times a game.
Yep. Hand off to Johnson.
Yep.
Seems to be their staple.
And he's just it wouldn't surprise me if when they get down close to the goal line, if they take Yates and put him in as kind of like a fullback, a blocking back, and just power this through. They're not messing around. They don't even look like they're even attempting to try and pass the ball. And anything but Johnson up the middle.
So Bridgewater hustles out for 3rd and 10.
There's a pass.
There's
Holy cow.
ball caught by Jonathan Wilkinson. That was number 25. So first play that wasn't Knoll to Johnson.
Picks up about 12 yards there. And that's it. Wilkinson at 6'2", 209, you're throwing to a big target. You're throwing to he's a receiver and he's speedy, but he looks more like a tight end type of a.
Now they go trips to the left, the Norseman. Quarterback keeper up the middle. Tackled by number 70, Jacob Youngbear.
And a flag.
First penalty of the game here as the Norsemen making their way into Trojan territory. It's been fairly smooth going.
They're just leaning on us.
Yep. Yeah.
Looks like we've got Marty Garcia in there for Robles now. Number 56 just came into the game. Looks to be a defensive end. That's Wyatt Sermon. And Bridgewater trotting back on. Man, with that humidity, I know it's not as hot as it was the last couple of days, but it's a little different playing a game at breakneck pace than it is going to practice and running through some plays.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think since Monday they've been practicing in the mornings.
Yep.
Haven't they?
You're right.
So practice wasn't as intense.
Yep.
It's going to be against the Norsemen as they mark off 10 yards, setting up a long first down.
And that's a big kid.
Here's Knoll again lining up at quarterback in the shotgun. Johnson to his right. He's going to turn and flip it out to Wilkinson. Just a quick screen, Wilkinson. About a 17-yard gate down the sideline. Like he was pushed out of bounds by Anthony Thompson. Looks like Anthony's playing a safety of some sort, defensive back.
There's another kid who's a pretty tough kid.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for him to keep growing into his body. I'm waiting for him to come back one year and be about 180 pounds.
Well, I know I saw him all over the place this summer laying concrete, so he's
good.
Put some weight on.
He's another tough wrestler of ours that hasn't kind of broken through the lineup yet, but we expect him to do some things in a couple years, next couple years.
Heston Johnson picks up the first down with a 6-yard run. Seems to be the Johnston, Knoll, Wilkerson show till they probably get close to the.
Then you're looking for Yates, aren't you?
Yeah,
Kind of
I
excited about
am.
that.
I want to see what this kid can do because he's just out there blocking.
He's a monster.
It's
Null hands off to, I don't know if that was number 10, Bergen.
That's Bergen.
So a new face. He's only listed at 5'10", 156 pounds. So
Yeah, so he's giving somebody a break. You know that. There goes Yates off the sidelines. Just keep him in, Coach. I want to see what he can do.
back to Bergen again. Yeah.
Bergen on the carry.
It's going to be either 3rd and short.
For the Trojans. Gain of 1.
Oh, gave him the first down here. They flipped the. Flip the down marker. Yep, first down.
Up there they move him. This is where I feel sorry for the South Tama kids because they're just getting, that line is just moving them back.
So Johnson goes up the middle but pops it to the outside.
Johnson on the carry.
Decent gain. Looks like Bridgewater on the tackle.
Brought down by Bridgewater and Golash.
But a 6-yard gain there, but it's awfully close to the goal line. So,
Yeah, so they got 2nd and 3.
yep,
And then another 3 yards to the
here he
end
comes.
zone. So Yates trots on.
On the offensive line, Jake Jennings is listed 5'10", 232. He's the smallest guy on the offensive line at the center position.
So Roland-Story went to under center. They went under center there.
Johnson on the carry. He's in for the
To an I
score.
formation, just an ISO. And
Touchdown, Roland-Story.
So South Tama Trojans find themselves down 6-0 after the first set of drives.
I didn't see who carried the ball there. Was that
It was Johnson.
Was it
Was
Johnson?
it Johnson? I did. Yeah. It was,
Yeah,
5. It was 5.
for the touchdown, 6-yard.
Yep.
Kind of from our angle, it's kind of hard to see what is happening.
And
Blocked
Knowles'
field goal.
kick
Goal, that's
is no good.
It's no good. With 4:15 left in your first quarter. South Tama Trojans 0. Roland-Story Norseman 6.
That's a good sign because we've seen a weakness. Just make them kick field goals.
Yep.
And that's pretty good. Roland-Story looked really impressive there, but they just did the basics. They didn't do anything. There's nothing special.
Right.
If they needed somebody, if they needed a pass, they got a pass. They got a sure-handed little receiver there, Wilkinson, and Noel's not going to throw the ball if he's not confident his kids are going to catch the ball. But then again, a team like Roland-Story, they've probably been playing football together for a long time, and they, and so have the South Tama kids. But it's just it's one of those things that you hate to see. It's I don't know, 50 against 20.
Yeah, numbers are definitely part
Yeah,
of
I
it.
counted 39,
39.
when Roland-Story came on the field, and
So it's
I think we've got about 20 juniors and seniors.
we've got some
We've got some underclassmen
Yeah.
suited up down there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
But I think the game plan, at least initially in the season,
Right.
is to try to keep the freshmen and sophomores together at the Frosh level.
if they're not, I don't know. When I was a varsity head coach, if they're not going to help you, why move them up? But I had the advantage because I just lined kids up and ran. And so if it's in a 100-yard dash, if a freshman can beat a senior, then you do them. And like wrestling, coach, you can speak to this. When you have more kids to choose from, you get better competition.
Well, then also,
Because-
just attrition-wise, it's next man in.
Yeah. And
Someone's going to get a concussion. Someone's going to roll their ankle. Someone's going to be sick one day.
And that's why it's good to have kids like, you have kids like Chase Gustafson, or you have kids like Kyle Youngbear, or Jacob Youngbear, who are not necessarily the biggest kids, but they're if you've got that toughness in them, and you breed that, and I know that you've got that in the wrestling team, and it's just kind of one of those things that you just can't, you can't teach. The toughness thing, either they're tough or they're not. We used to have that in cross country team. Tommy Tynisma and the Tynismas had that. They ran, and they were just tough. They were just mentally tough.
talk about our boys cross country team. They're coming into their preseason ranked as a unit. Tommy Tynisma ranked 3rd. Have not seen action yet, but going to be an exciting campaign, I think.
I think it's going to be a good fall. I think it's the kids are tuned. The volleyball team, Coach Canawine just had her baby, so you've got Jamie Dolash doing double duty, and she's got a, that's you're going to have some good volleyball matches. You're going to have some good football games, I think, on all levels, and we just kind of. There's just a sense of pride. I don't know, Coach Van Dyke, if you guys had this at the high school, but there's something of the first couple of days of middle school football practice just being there. That's kind of you can tell that they're just wanting to get out and get going.
Well, that's a good thing if there's excitement about the program. Yeah. That means the coaches and the leaders on the team are doing something right as far as selling the program. And, and one thing that has to do with numbers, too, is just making it a place where, hey, you walk down the halls, I want to be part of that team.
Exactly. Tyrus Clay on the return picks up about 15 yards before he's swarmed.
So South Tama will start the drive on the 27.
Got about 4:09 to go in this drive as they start. So we'll see if Coach Bridgewater and Doran are going to just kind of chip away at this.
So they ran a double wing offense, but they kept like twins off to one of the two sides every time.
Yeah.
So Weiss looked like he was kind of alone in the backfield, but then he's got a wing on each side who will motion. So we've got a double wing, Bridgewater and Blocker at the wings, and then Gustafson and Clegg kind of at twins out there.
Here's Weiss in the shotgun, first down. Pitch out.
Option to Blocker, but he's stuffed in the backfield for a loss of 5 or 6 yards.
5 or 6 yards. And that's things. You've been around these guys, and you've been around Coach Doran and those guys at the high school. Is this more of a confidence thing for Daniel? Just getting that idea back that he's got a safety valve, somebody he can pitch to, or is it a true option where he can, if he wants to, he can keep the ball and just keep going if he sees something?
I don't know if that's a design toss play or if he has the option to keep it. I do know that they didn't have him run the ball a lot for whatever reason, but he went to Coach Bridgewater and requested, "Hey, I want to run the ball. I want some run play." So that's kind of good to hear as well. So my guess is that it's an option.
Okay.
Because we did see him keep one over on the left side in the first drive.
Yeah, and he got some decent yards too.
So Bridgewater motions in front. It's kind of a jet sweep look, but he's doing a lot of it himself here.
Right.
So we push the ball to the other side of the field, short gain, but still a long way to go here on third down.
Yeah, he kind of beat the defensive end there. I thought maybe you'd have a little green in front of him, but
with these four linebackers, their coaches are probably looking at game film from last year and thinking that Bridgewater is going to be he's going to carry the heavy load. So they probably got a linebacker that's spying him a little bit, and wherever he goes, they go, just to keep him in the sights.
Trojan offense.
Weiss lines up, Blocker in motions behind Weiss.
There's a pass. Now be smart.
He's scrambling to his
Be
left.
Be smart.
Oh. Not a bad throw there.
No.
Hey, Clegg in the numbers.
Wow.
The ball just kind of bounced off his pads, it looked like.
Yeah. Bounced off his pads, and as he was kind of recovering, he got popped a little bit.
It looks like he's kind of limping a little bit.
And the Trojans will turn the ball over on fourth down.
Okay.
Which is not a bad.
You like to see the confidence there, making the throw.
He scrambled out of the pocket
and
set his feet and threw the ball. Threw a nice football.
2:15 left to go here in the first quarter. Seen some good things from the South Tama offense. The defense is kind of getting steamrolled here a little bit, at least in their first possession. We'll see if they can tweak anything.
Well, it's just this defensive line is just so big and strong. 6'2", 6'1", 5'11", 249, 271, 210, and 285. And then you got linebackers about the same size. So you're fighting 8 big bodies.
Adrian Valle going to do the punting and the kicking.
Boot it. There you go.
And he's a big, strong kid as well. He's probably the strongest kid in the school. Pretty decent soccer player.
Oh, yeah. And you can
squats like 450 pounds, I think.
Wow. Wrestler?
I'd like to. We'll see. We'll see.
Sounds like you're getting ready to recruit there, Coach.
I know the wrestling coaches. Hosky for years said everybody's a wrestler. They just don't know it yet.
I'll give him a shot.
Hey, you know what? Why not?
You got to ask, right?
Timeout, South Tama.
I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors here who have put us on the road, put us on the air this season. They include Berkwood Village of Tama Toledo, Salt Creek Wind, Mercy Care Tama, State Bank of Toledo, S&S Car Wash, Cruzy Phillips Funeral Home, Robach Lumber, Stein Robach Floor Coverings, Medicap Pharmacy, Mark West and Hoyer Law Office, Assured Partners Insurance, Appraisal and Realty Service, and Sharon Weber's in Toledo. Also thank you to the Farmer's Daughter Photography, and of course, Trojan Country Broadcast made possible by the Charlie Townsend Memorial. So we get our
South Tama. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to talk about that wing T formation.
Yeah.
South Tama actually ran it when Coach Stein was the offensive coordinator. And I'm not sure if that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. But we had a fullback or another back lined up behind the quarterback at that time. And right now it's just the two wings, and then you've got two twin receivers set out. A lot of times that running back that was behind the quarterback was kind of more of a downhill runner, running between the tackles.
And we ran that wing a little bit when you were in school.
Yeah, well, it was like a wing tee.
Yeah, we started that. I remember that. We started that in 7th grade, and we ran it. We got really good at it.
Yeah, I remember in football I had yourself and Coach Cook.
Yep.
But we ran the same offense through the time I graduated.
Yeah, and you almost have to, because the thing about it is if they get that continuity, then you're going to have that. And we're going back to, we kind of brought the band back together in middle school football. So we got 3 of the old 4 coaches there, and we're just going to kind of run the same thing the varsity is running, so the kids get used to it. They don't have to constantly pick that up. But
the challenge is with a team with 20 varsity players is you got to kind of build an offense around the strengths of your individuals each year, so it might change a little bit.
Exactly.
That was Jeremy Dolash on the deflection there on first down. Here's second down and a big run coming from Johnson up the sideline.
Blocker just misses, and McBride almost catches him, but he's going to score.
And so the second touchdown in the first quarter for the Roland-Story Norsemen pushes the score to 12 after a missed field goal on the last outing.
that was too easy. Kind of got South Tama back on its heels a little bit. Now they're going to go for 2 and probably do this. But Johnson this kid's a horse.
So we had a batted pass and then a end around.
Yep.
Two play drive. I remember that name Johnson from the state tournament this year. I think he was their lone state qualifier for Roland-Story. And
really?
I think he came in maybe unranked or ranked a little bit lower and kind of made a nice run to climb up on the podium.
And that's nice. I know they've got a good track tradition over there, and all their kids run. And they've got, with this bunch, they got a lot of shot putters and they got a lot of throwers. But also they have, I don't remember if they were, I should have looked it up today, if they were qualifiers in a lot of relays, but they got down and have a lot of individuals there. And that's all you need. I mean, we got speed to kill here in Roland-Story, but South Tama, they're looking a little dejected.
We got some guys sitting on their haunches and hands on the hips a little bit, and it's hot and humid. And
no matter how much water you get dejected when you see something that easy in those plays. And Dolash, they're playing hard, and they're going to take their lumps. But again, got to be proud that they're out there, because it takes a lot of guts. It's easy to be on a team with 50 guys.
So it looks like Clegg's going to return this one. Tyrus up the middle.
And he's stopped short of the 25-yard line.
Okay, so South Tama gets the ball right back.
Have something happen here? Maybe a little razzle-dazzle, see what's going on.
I'd like to see the heads come up and the body language change just a little bit. It's too early to get our daubers down.
Well, we had the hangdog. We were down 6-0 in that freshman game, and all of a sudden Michael Henry took one back to the house, and that was it.
Yeah, I got here at the end of the game. Must have been a pretty.
It was a good game.
14-12, right?
Yeah, low scoring game, but after Henry scored that first
And
touchdown.
Weiss scrambling out of the pocket. He's moving to his left, trying to make something
Go,
happen. He's
get
going to
out,
tuck it.
get
He's
out,
got a
go.
first down and work to the left
Hey.
side.
Daniel Weiss with a big rush up the far sideline,
Yeah.
and that the first down conversion for the Trojans. So some explosiveness in the offense, but
So a little bit of a broken play, but Weiss makes something happen with his legs.
And that's what you're going to get I've noticed with him, even on the golf course. He's not going to do silly things all the time. If he sees something open, he's going to take advantage of it. And same thing with watching him run the bases this summer on the baseball team and throughout his career. He'll catch you off guard, and if he catches you off guard, you better watch out because he can move.
Okay, Weiss again, straight drop back. Now he's scrambling to his right.
And he's pointing. And no.
Beautiful pass. Threads the needle right in there to number 11. Gustafson with the catch. So Gustafson in the
gutsy play
starting
into traffic
lineup.
there.
Yeah. Comes across the middle, makes a catch. And those two guys are good buddies. They hang out a lot. They play baseball together.
Yep.
Teammates. Weiss is a good kid to have on the team, too, because he's a little bit outspoken and a pretty good leader out there.
He's not afraid to tell you what's going on. You just watch him on the basketball court in a timeout. He kind of takes over and tells the coaches what's going to happen, and it comes to true. It's like having another coach on the field for you.
So Weiss, okay, I thought he was going to go under center for a second. He just had to tell Medina, his center, something. Blocker lines up next to Weiss and takes an inside handoff. He was hit pretty much right after he took the ball and able to get back to close to what the line of scrimmage was.
Brought down by number 58, Christian Selvig.
So we're looking at
Positive yard.
2nd and 10 here.
Under a minute to go here in the first quarter. South Tama able to put together a couple nice plays here, but still in their own territory. A lot of learning happening
Decent
here on
shotgun.
week one for these guys.
He's looking back at the clock. Bridgewater in motion. Oh, Bridgewater goes and takes the snap.
Little trickery.
He goes quarterback
That's nice.
sneak. So Bridgewater lines up on the left side, goes in motion, ends up right under center, and takes a quarterback sneak.
That takes a little bit of timing.
Yeah,
All
just
righty,
what
that
they
does
need.
it for the first quarter. We're going to go to the quarter break. We'll be right back after this from a word from our sponsors.
And that's the end of your
I've been trying so hard to get next to you.
All right, we're back for the start of the second quarter. South Tama trailing 13-0 against Roland-Story here on week 1 of the Iowa high school football season. Gentlemen, thoughts after 1 quarter of play here, South Tama and Roland-Story?
Had a heck of a time with Roland-Story's size, I think. Just their running attack, and they're getting positive yards every time they touch the ball. We'll see how we hold up in the second quarter. Usually if we have teams with a little bit smaller numbers have trouble maybe in the second quarter and the fourth quarter when they've been on the field for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the biggie right there. It's just you're seeing a little bit of line penetration by Roland-Story from our guys. Not a lot of experience on the line for South Tama, and that's one of those. You can't push a line off the ball when you are turning and looking for a running back and where the running back's going to be.
Probably the most success we've had is getting Weiss out there and moving him around in the pocket and just scrambling around and making something happen.
Mobile quarterback because he's going to take a couple of chances.
And have we seen Clegg back into the game yet? Is he still on the shelf?
He's not out there at the moment.
Right.
So we've got Weiss, I think Blocker next to him, Bridgewater lined up at wing.
Bridgewater in motion
Oh,
again.
he goes under center again. But they get to Weiss this time.
Yeah.
Try to run a little bit of ISO, but
That line.
the ball's going to go back to Roland-Story.
Will turn the ball over on down.
That was fourth down.
Northman will take over with first and 10.
Good idea. The little quarterback sneak to
Yeah.
Bridgewater kind of worked last time. Little wrinkle off it, but
After 1 quarter, your quarterback is your leading rusher with 17 yards, and your running back. That's why I think there is. I don't know if Bridgewater is okay back there. He just kind of looked. You made the point, Coach, that he's a little fatigued.
yeah.
And
Sometimes it's an adrenaline dump too.
Right.
Your first game, and so they're going to toss it out to number 12 on the edge. It was a quick screen, and they get Roland-Story with about 10 yards. That was Riley Larson on the reception, tackled out there by. It was
Brought down by Weiss for the Trojans.
Daniel.
and there's
Weiss.
a little deep and dunk. You're going to just dink and dunk on your passes,
Just a little quick screen. They go back to it.
Right back to the left side.
and that's
Larson again.
Yeah. And Weiss kind of picking on Weiss a little bit over there, and you're only going to pick up 4 or 5 yards on that. But those 4 or 5 yards they're moving in the right direction down the field.
And that's good enough for a first down.
Exactly, and that's going to get you.
Bridgewater comes off. Drayton White comes on the field, and that's another South Tama player who hasn't been on the team for a couple years. They flip it out to Larson again. And now that's 3 times in a row.
Yep. And he's picking up big yards.
You kind of wonder if they run a little fake quick screen and then send somebody down the sideline and get that cornerback sucked up.
Do you think maybe though that Noel is getting a little fatigued, and so they're just trying to give him a little bit of rest, and they're running the same kid who's fresh at us, so that we have to exert energy and
So
things
Noel
like
at
that.
quarterback.
Yeah. And that's another good. It's
Number 10, Nick Bergen on the carry.
close to a touchdown by Bergen.
it's Bergen for 12 yards.
So sometimes you take a quarterback like that, and I don't think Noel played quarterback last year. You said Johnson did,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
You build some confidence. You throw some shorter passes and kind of get them in rhythm as well.
Goal line situation for the Norsemen, but it's a first down, so plenty of time to work here early into the second period.
So Noel's going to set up in shotgun. It's going to be Jake Bergen, running back, behind him. Larson, number 12, who's caught 3 screens this drive, is split wide to the left. So here's Noel. Takes the snap, gives it to Bergen up the middle.
And he's in for a touchdown.
Touchdown Norseman.
Bergen on the carry, and he's in for the score.
Just a thought here. With this, getting your younger kids experience, I think Roland-Story is taking their big guys out till the start of the third quarter. Maybe.
So they brought So Johnson hasn't ran the ball.
Yeah, he hasn't run the ball.
They're giving it to Bergen now.
They've
Yep.
got Bergen, and they've got
And they were throwing the ball to Wilkinson.
right,
And now they're throwing it
they're
to
not.
Larson. Yep.
So they're kind of doing. They know they could. They know they can win the game, kind of like a Xavier thing, where they want to get some guys experience.
Looks like
Maybe a broken snap.
Yep.
And
broken snap on the PAT, and that's going to be an incomplete pass.
so a couple of special teams snafus for Roland-Story in this first half.
That's just the thing.
I don't know. Going back to that, George, I don't know if you start playing those kids when you're up by 2 scores only.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's 3 scores. So.
Now it's 3 scores, so maybe they go back to the next offensive possession. They go back to and just giving them a rest, just because it's been a long camp and a long summer. If they've been playing baseball or whatever it is, I know that Schulte over at Xavier used to do that with us. I mean, he would keep his. There's been a couple of games that we were over there in districts late in the year, and he knew he was in the playoffs, so he just took. There were new things he wanted to put in a game set type situation, so he would run kids 12 or 15 times, and then he'd take everybody else, put it. Maybe not an embarrassment factor, what you would call that, but I just think that, Roland-Story, we didn't see Johnson, we didn't see Wilkinson, we saw Noel, and he's obviously running the offense, but maybe take into account, what if one of those guys gets hurt later in the season?
Game 1.
Yeah.
Game 1 right now.
It's no sense if you know you can win.
So no kicks the ball off for Roland-Story. Bridgewater lets the ball bounce into the end zone for a touchback.
Clegg just kind of back there for a little bit of a shadow, not even. So again, you don't know what's going on.
So a 1st and 10 for South Tama deep in their own territory with about a country mile left on the clock in the second quarter.
Long ways to go. Ball on the 20.
Here we go.
Coming on, I think Kinzer Jeanette maybe just jogged on the field. To see where he lines up. Number 10.
He's another one of the wrestlers.
He's scrappy. He's scrappy. He's a tough kid.
He's got
Had a nice season on that Frost team last year. I recall seeing him.
Yeah. Remember hearing good things from the coaches about him.
got a lot of attitude in that little body.
So he's in for Bridgewater at that end.
And there he goes. That's a nice little run right there. It's about 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards.
Excuse me, maybe he wasn't in for Bridgewater.
No,
He
that
must have
was
came
him.
in for blocker. Is that Bridgewater on the run there? Wasn't
Well, there's Bridgewater on the run.
it? Yeah.
Maybe a little more size in there with Jeanette and Bridgewater in the backfield.
Okay, so Weiss, you've got Bridgewater lined up right next to Weiss. Jeanette on the wing.
2nd down. Handoff.
Bridgewater takes the handoff. Hit immediately as he took the ball.
Hit at the line of scrimmage by number 72, Tristan Peterson.
Peterson on the stop for Roland-Story for a loss, and that brings up 3rd and maybe a long 3.
And we're just seeing.
So Dolash and
Again.
Bridgewater just come off.
Yeah, I don't like the looks of that right there. With Bridgewater coming up and taking the knee immediately as soon as he gets across. It's got to be. It's got to be.
I think he's
fatigue.
gassed. I think he's playing
Yeah.
hard, and I think
Yeah.
it's that adrenaline of the first game and the nerves, and like you said, maybe thinking you have to do too much a little bit.
And it's hard. I've never coached him. I watched him at practice, and he goes 100 miles an hour, and trying to get him to. He's got a lot on the line. That's a
Dial it back,
false
relax
start.
a little bit.
Yep.
Play football.
Yeah.
Control what you can control. Do your job.
Flag on the field, one of just a few we've seen so far in this first half. It's been a fairly clean game, but just been a lot of scoring from Roland-Story too.
Third flag, 2 on them, 1 on us, maybe.
Letting them play tonight, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's first week.
Yeah.
Like you say, these officiating crews don't get a ton of work into preseason, so they kind of just let them go a little bit, I think. And as they start to, they start to see the film at the state level and start talking to officials and telling them what they need to watch out for and what kids are trying to get away with and
Weiss
things
and
like
blocker.
that.
Trips to the right.
Boy,
Weiss with a straight drop. He's going to go over the top.
And it's a holding on us.
Nearly intercepted,
Yeah.
but it's all going to come back anyway.
Gosh, not a bad throw by Weiss.
I like the decisions.
looks good.
And the
I don't mind what he's doing back there.
he throws the ball and he throws the ball well.
Steps into it, sets his feet.
Yeah.
It's just the chemistry with the receivers and just that syncing with
Right.
the rest of the offense. Yeah.
That could be a bright spot once we get going on this. He's thrown the ball 7 times. He's 5 for 7 right now.
So another 4th down coming up here for South Tama, and they will punt away now. Receivers, 2 returners set up on the Roland-Story 45. And it's Valle again. We'll punt away for STC with just over 8 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
Second quarter.
Valle just a horse in the weight room. It's too bad he hadn't played football a few more years.
Right.
Kind of an end-over-end punt.
Just get away from it. It's going to roll dead.
Dribble just over midfield.
Yep, Cody Blocker. That's not a bad punt.
Preserve the field position a little bit, and Roland-Story sets up on the 50. As South Tama just kind of trying to find themselves here in this first half. It's been a challenge, and like you said, both of you guys, just the body language a little tough out there in the first half. We'll see if maybe halftime can bring something.
The bad part about it that you feel sorry for the kids, the South Tama kids, is because they're playing on half a field.
Right.
They're playing on a 50-yard field.
Okay, here's Johnson back in the game, and he's going to take it on the left
there he
side, and he
goes.
may not be
Good
tackled. He's
Night.
in.
Johnson.
49.
Breakaway.
So we see a little bit of
smokes.
Johnson again, and turns the Jets on. Gets through the line. Turns the Jets on.
4 touchdowns so far for Roland-Story, and it's now 25-0. As again, the special teams coming on to finish off this very quick drive.
And Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, and if my stats are anywhere close to right, he's rushed the ball 11 times for 102 yards with 3
Not
touchdowns.
a bad average.
So he's.
Yeah.
So we might not see too much of him the rest of this quarter, is what you're saying?
I'm thinking maybe that his.
Might
night-
see a little more Bergen, a little more Jake
yeah,
Bergen.
Bergen.
And
His
the
night
kick
might
from
be over.
Noel is good. That makes it 26-0. Roland-Story in control here, first half. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Berkwood Village of Tama, Toledo, Salt Creek Wind, Mercy Care Tama, State Bank of Toledo, S&S Car Wash, Cruzy Phillips Funeral Home, Robach Lumber, Stein Robach Floor Coverings, Medicap Pharmacy, Mark Weston Hoyer Law Office, Assured Partners Insurance, Appraisal and Realty Services, Sharn Weber's, and the Farmer's Daughter Photography.
Thanks to all those sponsors. They all do good things. And
they've been called on a lot.
Yes,
this
they
year.
have.
So it does not go unnoticed, and it's understated how our community, when you talk about how many wins this football program has had in the last 5 years, and I'm telling you, there was no sales that I had, no salesmanship I had to put to these businesses, these owners and local supporters. They were right there and said, "Yep, we're behind you. We're behind this school," and that's wonderful to see.
Well, we were at last weekend. The Boosters had the Ken Colpin Open, and
A record year, right?
A record year.
Yeah. Yep.
Team wise and
So Blocker's going
kickoff.
to return the kick here.
and he's got a head of steam on him.
He's got
some
some
wheels.
quicks. Yeah,
he's
that was
got
good
some
to
quicks.
see.
It's good. You like to see that, but you're just as fragile as he's been, and in the past, we got to do that. Anyway, getting back to my point, we had a lot of people who won money in the golf tournament and prizes and things like that, and it's cash. Booster Club gives it back, and in the afternoon session of like 10 or 12 prizes that we gave out, people donated back to the Booster Club. So this community is extremely generous. And one thing for the Farmer's Daughter, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I think they donate those
banners.
those big banners to
Yeah.
the businesses that are hanging in Fairway and hanging in Ultimate Image.
The posters, the
And
big.
they, yeah,
tall-
and they
yeah.
also make one for the kids.
Well, and the ones that you
That's-
see in the gym, and I
they're
think
right.
they'll have here on senior night
So-
for those programs. Yep.
That's a great addition to the Booster family.
Weiss and shotgun. Blocker lined up to his right. And Weiss runs an ISO
Picks up
just
about
off the
3.
right side. So there's some positive yards there.
Yes.
Weiss on the carry, brought down by 58.
And I think the more Daniel Weiss, the more confidence he gets,
Oh, wow.
the better leader he is. And I've noticed that when he's playing basketball, even when he's playing golf. Confidence boosts confidence. Here comes Kinzer again.
So he's got to get the play. The huddle's already broke. He's got to figure out what the play is. Oh, and it's like Anthony Thompson's running off. But we've got Blocker lined up next to Weiss again. Trips to the left. Oh.
Low snap.
Straight drop.
And it's out there in your hands. And that's Bridgewater, and he's kind of, he's a little bit gassed.
Just a 5-yard out from, well, that might have been that was Jeanette maybe.
Was it? Might have been.
We've got a number 10 and an 18. And
They're
it's-
kind of, even
yeah,
and with these jerseys, it's kind of hard to decipher, isn't it?
it is.
Can't wait till the state comes back with the rule with the jerseys next year, where your jerseys have to stand out from your background. You got a powder blue. I like the jerseys.
Some type of requirement.
Yeah, great jerseys.
The 8 and the 0 are
But
tough.
man alive, it's tough to see the numbers sometime when it gets, especially when you got old eyes.
So Blocker comes out, and it looks like Bridgewater comes in. So maybe they're rotating Blocker and Bridgewater a little bit. Weiss by himself in the backfield. Trips to the right. It's kind of a tight trips.
Here we go,
boy,
two
had-
guys in
Yep.
motion. Oh boy.
Miscommunication, some frustration there by Weiss, and tough spot to be in on third down.
Looks like maybe Bridgewater and Clegg kind of took off in motion at the same time.
So a flag and a penalty will push the Trojans back deeper into their own territory. Now closer to their end zone than they want to be, that's for sure. 26-0. It's been all Roland-Story here. South Tama just a few first down conversions, but mostly it's been a very dominant performance by Roland-Story tonight.
Weiss fakes a
Okay.
jet sweep handoff to Clegg, and he's scrambling around.
Yeah.
Man, not a lot of room to throw that ball in, but he does hit Gustafson in the hands. There were about 3 white jerseys all around him.
Right.
And Gustafson took a little hit.
He had it in his hands.
Yeah.
And it looked like as he kind of squished out of there, he got hit right as he was closing his hands
Yeah.
around the ball.
There was about 3 of them there that
Right.
kind of roughly separated him from the ball.
That's nice to put it that way. Roughly separate him from the ball. I thought it was a little bit early, but
The
I'm not-
refs are letting them play tonight.
yep. I'm not going to scream and yell into my headset. Poor Darvin's had to do enough of that in the past couple of years. We don't want to do that, but the South Tama kids are playing hard, and that's what you got to do. They may get beat, but they're going to go down with a fight.
Fourth down, and Valle to punt.
That's a nice punt.
Yeah, that one gets a little bit
Yep,
more
he's got
distance.
a
He
fair
calls
catch that.
About
Fair
50,
caught.
about back to midfield again.
Yeah.
So you're right, George. We're playing on a half the field right now.
Yeah, and he's averaging about, Vice averaging about 25, 30 yards a punt. He's trying to do what he can and trying to get us out of there. But and it's it's hard playing on half, 50 yards. You got somebody like Johnson. What's going to happen here if Bergen comes back in? You got, is that Wilkinson in
It
the
looks like they
backfield?
got Wilkinson in the backfield.
Yeah.
He started out as like a flanker or
Yeah.
a slot, and he caught a couple passes early. And he's a big kid.
And
He's
maybe
over 200 pounds.
Right. And you're going to be, once we get,
Just a little ground and pound here.
yeah.
First down, right, almost just shy of the 50. Roland-Story will set up on their next drive.
Looks like they might have kind of a tight trips to the left with Wilkinson right behind Noel, and he takes it up the middle for
and that's
what's going to be a first down, and
holy smokes,
drags a couple of Trojans for an extra 5 yards.
Right where we saw Heston Johnson that last trip up, that center of the South Tama defense just folds again.
Chase Gustafson got it away. He's riding that bull all the way. He was.
He was holding on. He looked like just a big belt wrapped around Wilkinson. So they go
19
back to
yards, there he
Wilkinson,
goes
and he's
again.
got a huge hole.
Yeah.
Somebody stepped in and made a tackle, though. Is that Gustafson?
Yeah.
145 pounds,
Yeah.
huh?
Little ankle
He's
pick
not
there.
afraid of him.
5:07 on the clock, but a first down again for Wilkinson, Noel, and Roland-Story.
Yeah, and this is just one of those. This is just one of those games where they're just playing running back by committee, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what Wilkinson has to do.
So Clegg almost made a tackle in the backfield, but it's Wilkinson again, kind of up the middle.
And Clegg touched up a little bit. He's slow to get up.
12 yards. So you have Johnson, 11 rushes, 102 yards. Chances are he's probably done for the night. You have Wilkinson comes in, 3 rushes, 47 yards.
And we had Bergen earlier, right?
All unofficial. Bergen comes in, 4 rushes, 24 yards. And then you got Noel with 43 yards passing, throwing 2 different receivers.
Yeah, and a lot of times with Noel, they're just kind of tossing it out toward the sideline, just a quick screen.
And of those 43 yards, Wilkinson has
20 of them with
20.
Gustafson wrapped around his waist.
Yeah.
None.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But but that's what you get. You get a lot of. You're going to get your kids. The kids are going to be tough.
But that kid's playing hard.
You don't know him. You know he's a wrestler, so he's going to be tough. He's got that mentality. He joined the Army, so he's going to. He
enlisted.
He
I think he'll
enlisted.
go to basic next summer
After high school, so the kid's got a little bit of. He's got a little bit of gumption in him. And it just kind of in the timeout we got.
He said he wanted to be a Marine, but he's had some shoulder injuries.
So they wouldn't take him.
Yeah, he had to go.
Yeah. He wants to be a Marine. That's toughness. Gets turned down by the Marines. Most people would say, you know what, maybe I'll go to college. He's going to go into the Army. And probably.
I think it's just something he always wanted to do, you know?
Well, I think he's got family. Doesn't his dad? Wasn't his dad in the Army for a time?
I have to ask him. They live right across the street from us, so I get to see Gustafson a little bit.
What's going on.
Clegg still getting worked on by the trainer from the Roland-Story side. And
hopefully he's just got a cramp.
Yeah. So we got a little pause in the action.
I can't tell which coach is out there, but we don't look too concerned right now. I don't know if it's Coach Aaron's.
It's pickle juice. It's making sure you're cramping.
I told Mrs. Aaron's to tell her husband Court to bring a jar of pickle juice to the game tonight. Figured we start seeing some cramps. I don't think it'll be the last one.
It's not the last one we'll see. Get him some water. But you know that as a veteran of the long runs.
Oh yeah,
and the endurance stuff.
That's an electrolyte nightmare. That's part of the battle.
And it just feels the mental battle, the physical battle, and then you're just.
Somehow it's a balance between the water, your liquid, and then your electrolytes at the same time.
I've seen some guys who they run with what's that stuff they give the kids that's got the electrolytes in it, the Pedialyte.
Yeah.
And they got little bottles of Pedialyte with them.
I'm taking that.
And that's
food packs.
Oh man.
Pickle juice,
That's the worst part about it, trying to get that. You want to keep moving because if you stop. But you and Coach Bowen are man alive, taking over.
I didn't do anything major this summer. Here's Wilkinson again. He's around the left side, and he is just short of the end zone.
Tripped up there near the goal line.
That'll be about 9 yards there.
And we can report Tyrus Clegg able to get off the field on his own 2 feet, so he looks to be stretching it out. Yeah.
What do you do? Oh, no, there he goes. I was just going to say, what do you do with Wilkinson? Give him the touchdown and tell him his night's over?
You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown.
I think their coach might be Oprah over there. Everybody get. Nope, he's in. That's who ran off. No, they're going to give it to him.
Wilkinson's in there.
Wilkinson's in there. Noel's going to give it to him and see what happens.
Every time they get close to the goal line, they're going under center to that I formation.
And Wilkinson,
Somebody got in there. He's not going to score on
a
this
lot
one.
of them.
That was 52, 72. I think on the underside that was Bridgewater.
Might have
Or
been.
Jeanette, maybe.
Yeah, either
I think it was
Bridgewater or
Jeanette.
Jeanette. You got Gustafson in there.
Yeah. And Marty Garcia kind of just came through. He's fanning himself
Yeah,
off.
it's either him or Robles. I don't know.
I think that's Marty.
Gotta let that belly breathe.
Yep.
Man, we get both those big guys on the field at the same time. I think we can shut down the A gaps.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But I'm impressed with the linebackers.
Yeah, they
they're
come
kind
up
of getting through, and they're not afraid to hit these big guys.
So they're back under center here. Yeah, Wilkinson is the deep back.
And
it's
a pass.
It's a play action. And it's a sack for.
Who is that? They can't tell.
Now I'm looking at that
was
jersey, and I can't
70.
tell if it's Bridgewater or Jeanette.
Bridgewater.
Yeah, Bridgewater.
Yep. They got spotters next door, so you know it's Bridgewater, but that's a.
So that's a bright spot. We just got to. South Tama just sacked Knoll for about what was that? 15
10 yard.
10
Was it
yard
15?
loss? Well, they're way back on the 18 now, it looks like. So Coach Doran dials up a stunt for Bridgewater, and he runs Knoll down from behind.
Yeah. Let him go. It reminds me of the old days. I used to know a kid like that. Used to let him go about 5 yards and then run him down. Now he's got a beard and standing next to me teaching
I don't
PE.
know about that.
Yeah, well, okay. I remember calling those games. I remember calling some of those games when you guys were running varsity. Having all kinds of fun.
That's what you were doing. Yeah, it was good times back then.
Oh, yeah. Timeout Roland-Story. They're going to see what they can do with about 2 minutes, 14 seconds left in the half.
So what do we got? Is it fourth down over there? Yeah.
Yeah. Fourth down, they're trying to dial something up.
They're not going to kick a field goal.
No, that's not been.
Not with the.
They've still got Wilkinson in the game. But you got to think they're going to drop back and try to throw the ball here.
Yeah. You'd almost have to. And you're going to give, even if you don't score here, you're going to give South Tama some. It's not the greatest field position in the world, but you're still going to be able to, with 2 minutes left, you got to be thinking of.
You got the ball. You've had a little success with Weiss.
Right. Start thinking just something to get their imagination cooking. Would
It's
be
too
fun.
bad we haven't been able to get the ball to the outside.
Right.
Like get blocker on the outside
Yeah.
or someone with some quicks like that.
And that's a credit to Roland-Story's linebackers. They just kind of spread themselves out along the field.
Man, it's going to make
And
it tough to
it's-
throw the ball if,
Right.
if we're not going to establish a
Right.
run presence.
And they know they don't have to stay at home. So it's kind of one of those. It's going to be an interesting second half to see what Roland-Story does. They could come out and score right away if they want to, because they're going to get the ball. But will they calm things down a little bit and take it easy and let our kids get some experience playing football?
So Johnson, number 5, back in the game at running back for the Norsemen.
There we go. Something's going on with the clock, either that or the.
Wilkinson's still in as well. He's out at a slot, but they've got trips to the left and a single receiver to the right. Knoll drops back, little 3-step drop, throws it up, and it's Wilkinson.
And he
Broken
hit it
up.
on hands, blocker
Cody
broke it
Blocker.
up.
Cody
That's
Blocker.
nice.
Okay.
That's nice.
Good nose for the ball there.
Now you're keeping stats over there, George. Is that the first time that Roland-Story has not? Is that their first non-scoring drive?
That is their first non-scoring drive.
Man.
Yep. They've had the ball 4 times, and they've scored.
And so that sets up a fresh set of downs and another possession for the Trojans with just over 2 minutes to go in the first half. But it's been all Roland-Story here. They lead 26-0. Couple of dominant runs. One up the middle. Been pretty successful up the sideline, too.
Weiss from shotgun. South Tama with a tight end and 3 receivers to the right. Weiss with a big, it's a middle screen. And
Sniff that out from the beginning.
yeah, Bridgewater catches the middle screen, but
Loss on the play there, bringing up 2 and 12.
Christian Kelsbig on the tackle. He's a linebacker. He read that very nicely. I don't mind the call. Throw a middle screen.
And here's Weiss and the Trojans once again, deep into their own territory.
3 to the right. Bridgewater, a wing to the left.
Weiss taking his
Blocker
time
goes
here.
in motion. It's a low snap. Weiss rolling to the right. Now he's flushed to the right.
Get out. Oh, yeah. Get rid of it there.
Throws the ball just out of the reach of Bridgewater, a little bit low. But he had some heat on him. Weiss not able to set his feet there and throw the ball.
Bridgewater slow to get up.
Also looked like Bridgewater and Blocker were kind of running right next to each other on that route there.
Minute 5 to go here. South Tama 3rd and 11.
You're kind of getting a little desperation here
Yeah.
on this drive. You can kind of see it a little bit where they're calling things that they know they can run, but they're getting a lot of penetration up the back, and we're not going to go anywhere.
I don't know what that might have been. I don't know that looked like a design run to Weiss,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but they're just getting
when it's 3rd and 11, I don't know if you.
they're getting swarmed. They're just getting
Like I said, it'd be
the
kind of
line's
fun to
getting
be able
over.
to throw the ball a little bit, but
Right.
if you don't establish the run,
No.
Right.
and South Tama's not really spreading the field width-wise.
No. And I don't know with that 4 linebacker set that Roland-Story is running at us that they can spread we couldn't get out. We might not be able to get outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at those 2 twin receivers, whether it's Clegg and Gustafson or whoever it is out there, but because they're playing pretty close to.
Right. Yeah.
They're not getting toward the sideline. I guess.
And you got to be, and if you're going to do that, then maybe that's what they need for extra blockers. Who knows? I don't know enough about the offense and what they've been through, and what's going on down there to say for sure. But when they're tight in like that, they might need the extra blockers because they know that they're going to get beat off the line with that. But if we could just establish, maybe get 2 or 3 guys far enough out.
Yeah.
We could establish a little.
Well, then you can stretch the corner, stretch the linebacker out a little bit farther.
Right. And that's just
spread bodies out a little bit.
But it looks like Roland-Story is their main goal is to probably stop. Based on what they saw last week, stop Weiss, stop Bridgewater, and just use their size to their advantage because they're like semi trucks sitting in traffic. You can't move them.
Yeah, Wilkinson back there.
Valley, just boom. And you got to watch out here. He catches this ball and gets ahead of steam. He's going to be gone.
And he's a big kid.
He is.
Pretty skilled.
Yeah.
So
They had him
Wilkinson
listed
again.
they had him listed as a defensive back. But
Yeah. Well, I could see that.
he's got some skills. But he's a big kid.
So 47 seconds on the clock left in the first half. One more opportunity for Roland-Story here as they've had their foot on the gas pedal all game long. And see if they can push it past the 30 mark. South Tama just needs to regroup.
Looks like Nolan Johnson in the backfield. Trips to the left. Single receiver to the right. Handoff to Johnson around the right side. And
Johnson cuts back, still on
he's
his
got a first
feet.
down, but he's kind of dancing around by the sideline there.
He was kind of hoping he could dance around a little bit and get out of that.
Find a little cutback lane or something. So we get to see a little bit more of Johnson, huh?
Yeah.
And now who's that coming off Gimpy a little bit?
They're going to call a timeout with 22 seconds left and see what they can draw up. But it's not,
We have the winners of our Booster Club drawing. The winners get
And so Jeanette comes to the bench with a little hitch in the giddy up. Another timeout on the field with
So you
22
got,
seconds to go.
Big Ian Slagle talking to Jeanette over there. That's kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
Ian was, I can't remember what year he graduated. What was it, 2016?
It's, yeah.
And,
Well, the last
he was
time-
the player of the district.
The last time we would
As
have
an offensive tackle.
played Roland-Story in 2014 and 15, Ian would have been part of those teams.
That's right, because
He
we
would've-
were in we were 2A, weren't we?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he started varsity as a freshman.
Freshman.
Yeah. And you can see why.
But he had some skill. He started. Didn't he
Grandview.
start at Grandview as a sophomore?
I'm not sure on
Or
what
somewhere
years,
in
but I
there.
know
It's-
that he
Man alive.
was a regular for him. Yeah, he was the offensive player of the district, and that doesn't usually go to an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Good kid. Nice. He's a chiropractor now. Just got his chiropractor license.
Got a chiropractor. He's a chiropractor.
Yep.
And it's the nice thing about it is I like to see kids that have had success come back
Yeah, back in the area.
and coming back into the.
No hands off to Johnson. And he
Johnson.
stood up in the hole.
Yep.
So you got Dolash right around him, and
He still gained about a yard, which is okay.
Like maybe Young Bear in there and
Bridgewater?
Bridgewater, yeah.
You got the toughness showing. They're going to stop him.
hey, we're getting beat here, but let's not quit, right?
That's right.
And flag out.
Yep.
Net ball foul against the Norsemen.
They're going to have a little chat about that. That's probably the silliest thing they've done all night.
Dead ball foul.
Yeah.
Somebody must have been running there.
Somebody.
Jaw a little bit, or
I was going to say somebody said something to somebody, and somebody just didn't like what they said, and
oh, you'd be surprised how much talk goes down there on that football field.
from my years on the sideline, with the varsity keeping stats, it's amazing.
So a Northville trips and Bridgewater with a free run at the
Holy
quarter.
cow, and
Oh, it's picked off in
intercepted.
the end zone. So Bridgewater
Holy cow!
with a free run at Knoll, kind of blindside.
Wow.
And Norse, the Roland-Story coaches are a little bit livid.
Yeah.
I don't know if they think Bridgewater. I don't think it was a late hit, but I don't know that the quarterback was protected. But
Bridgewater had his hands up in the air, launching himself at that kid when he threw the ball,
he buried him.
and he knew it was. It kind of looked like he knew it was coming, but it's
Yeah,
still.
he come off that edge. It must have been a called stunt there.
Yeah.
That's
That's
an
it.
interception, right?
Yep. Interception.
Who?
I didn't catch it. I
Tyrus
was
Clay.
looking at the sack. Yep.
Tyrus Clay getting the interception in the end zone.
So maybe they can build off that. Maybe they can.
Sure.
Maybe that gets the excitement up in the locker room there. And
Or maybe they stirred up Roland-Story, and
Yeah.
they're going to come down and they're going to have some fun.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with a look
Good
at
shot.
the
Good
SDC marching band. And don't go anywhere. You're listening to Trojan Country. We'll be right back.
tell me why I'm all alone. Somebody 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 tell me why. Fighting demons, but you feel so mine.
Is your band ready? Trojan Marching Band, let's rock.
Tell the old man to give him some money.
Well, thanks.
Are we starting back up? How much time do we have?
Tonight was the annual Music Boosters Barbecue, and the band, along with the music boosters and all the music students.
Welcome back, Trojan fans, to the Berkwood Village halftime show. We're live from the Trojan Field here in Tama, Iowa. Score at halftime, South Tama trailing 26-0. I'm Darvin Graham, joined in the booth here tonight by George Cuter and Nate Van Dyke. I'm going to let these guys take it and talk a little bit about what we saw in that first half.
What we saw in the first half, stat-wise, pretty simple and easy. Roland-Story, Johnson, 13 rushes, 124 yards. Noel had one. Oh, man, he got hammered. He got hammered twice by Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And that was the sack. He's minus 15 yards in his rushing, but he's done some damage with his arm. Bergen, 24 yards on 4 rushes. And then Wilkinson, he had, 80 yards. 80 yards on 5 rushes and a couple of touchdowns. Noel is 3 for 5 passing with 43 yards, and his big target has been Wilkinson for 29 yards with 2 catches, and Larson with 3 catches for 29 yards. On the scoring, Johnson has scored twice from 6 yards out and from 39 yards out. And Bergen scored on a 4-yard touchdown run, and Johnson came back for the last one, 49-yard run. Just basically went untouched right through the end zone. For the South Tama County Trojans, Daniel Weiss is our leading rusher, 6 rushes for 20 yards. We got Cody Blocker. He's got 4 rushes for minus 3 yards. Has not had a whole lot of room to make sure that he can get around the corner and getting caught. Bridgewater, 4 rushes for 14 yards. He's had some good plays and some bad plays on offense, but it's getting tough. It's getting tough when you got Roland-Story's line in front of him. Weiss is 5 for 9 with 29 yards passing. I've got Anthony Thompson with 2 catches for 13 yards. Bridgewater 1 catch for 12 yards. Chase Gustafson, and I might be a little bit off there because I may have given him that. I'm going to go back and try and figure it out. Chase Gustafson with 1 catch for 4 yards. I thought he caught the ball twice, so I may have made some there. South Tama has not scored, essentially not gotten close to score, but they've got to try and establish their line play and getting out on the outside for those types of things. So South Tama we're looking for South Tama coming back from the half. Hopefully get a little pumped up, and maybe in about 4 minutes to go, they're getting a good talking to by their head coaches, and just not to give up and just keep playing hard like we know they can.
And it's just such a process, this early part of the season. They're real games. They count towards the end of the season record.
Right.
But you see, from what I've seen with South Tama the last few years, you see a completely different team at the end of the year, and you just wish that there was a little more ability to develop, and that goes into the numbers, having a scout unit that can match the competitiveness of your varsity unit, and you just wish there was more time.
And it's a lot of and Coach Van Dyke can talk about this with the wrestling room, and it's everywhere else too. It's South Tama. The numbers wise, wrestling is probably the exception, but you've got two tough kids practicing every day, beating up on each other. One of them's going to get really good, and the other, and so it's the same with the football team. When you only have 20 guys, you can't
Well, it's hard to scrimmage.
go after each other.
Because number one, your next man is not quite the level.
Right.
If you
and that's
you don't have
kind
many
of,
options.
That's kind of what we have. I think
then the other thing is just attrition.
Right.
You can't hit hard every day.
And you can't hit hard every day, and you can't do that. I think they're only hitting twice. I think they only hit twice during the week.
Yeah, I don't know how
And-
much
and
live
it's-
scrimmage they do.
You can't do it. You can't take a chance on getting somebody hurt.
Right.
And
And it was-
especially this, of the 20 guys we have out, and this is what I've just heard from a couple of coaches, a couple of people close to the program. Of the 20 guys out, 6 of them haven't played football since they were freshmen.
Right.
And then you got 4 of them. 4 of that 6 have not played at all in high school. So, and that's tough. That's
And then you've
really
got
tough.
like 8 returning
Right.
Letterman.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But then you got to think off of last year's team. You know, we lost just a few seniors, but it was Diego Victor,
Right.
Rudy Papaki, Nolan Upa. I mean, those are pretty.
There's
right,
well,
pretty
Nolan Upa is our leading receiver all year.
contributive.
And
Contributors,
he
right?
contributed. And Rudy
A
was
4-year starter.
He was a 4-year
3.5-year
starter, and
starter.
he got hurt midway through the year, but he came back strong. And that's what you say, Darvin. One of the biggest things that you got to realize is the team that's going to finish the season is not necessarily the team that you're playing right now. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get a little bit more savvy with the playbook. Daniel Weiss, he hasn't taken a snap other than tonight since he was a freshman. So there's a lot of things we've got going for us, but once we get into district play, it just gets tough, and the kids start to get a little bit defeated. You get around homecoming, you get around towards the end of the season, they haven't won a game, and they're you read through it. I mean, look at what we got.
You've got to get
Gotta
creative
grind.
as far as morale goes. You've got to keep a little carrot out front.
Right.
Find something to, some bright spots.
Well, and boy, I tell you, early last year, seeing the state association come out with a free and reduced modifier, I thought that's an opportunity right here. Just for some movement towards some equity, as a lot of rural schools shrinking, smaller districts shrinking, and that gap between the haves and the have-nots widening year to year. And boy, we got about as unlucky as it could be. We were the last team unable to drop down a class, and that would have affected the district. And on the other end, you had some teams that had to force their way up into the next class up. And we traded, Independence and West Delaware. Congratulations. Here's Benton Community. Here's Solon. Here's Williamsburg. They were just in a title game last year. So have fun with that, South Tama, and that's kind of been our just the unfortunate luck with all that.
And when the state starts to monkey with that stuff, I don't know if it's going to be a positive or a negative, because they're still going to work things out. And the rumor is they're going to start doing this in all sports,
right?
And they're going to have, and if that's true, when they start monkeying with that, with those types of things like free and reduced lunch and stuff like that, people think it's going to work out for the best. But there's a lot of 2A schools. I mean, look at Williamsburg. Williamsburg's going to move up. They can compete.
Yep.
But what happens when Williamsburg, small school, probably a 2A school, goes up against some of those bigger 3A schools that you've got? And we've got, it's just a matter of size here. It's a matter of size. We got a lot of kids, even though we may be, some schools may be free or reduced lunch, but you also have to factor in the size of the school.
Yeah. And
it's traditionally, we've been able to compete with a lot of teams, and we've been in tough districts before, but there's nothing, it's nothing like this.
And this year too, another interesting kind of conference district situation is the introduction of Grinnell into the WAMAC conference. That, of course, doesn't play into the football season, but we will see Grinnell again, as we do always during football time. I think that'll be a net positive, just having a little shorter travel on the western side. I think you kind of set them up against a CCA and Independence and Marion, some of those kind of fringe 3A to 4A programs. Grinnell's not quite there. They're still a few heads above us, but it'll be interesting to see. Hasn't been since the Little Hawkeye, I think, that we've shared a conference with Grinnell.
It's going to be, and Grinnell being in the same conference stuff with everything, it's going to be a welcome to the WAMAC moment, because nobody's going to take a break. And you go wrestling, you go track, you go basketball on both sides, and Grinnell can compete with us.
Yeah.
But we can compete with a lot of schools, wrestling wise. A lot of good wrestling. We've got a quality wrestling program, track and field, and things like that. But again, it's numbers. It's numbers. You're gonna have to compete against some of these schools in the WAMAC. Now, on the opposite end, got a former South Tama athlete, Clay Waterbury, is the offensive coordinator at DeWitt, Central DeWitt. They've got 26 kids out for varsity football, which for DeWitt is not very many.
No.
And then I was talking to him, and Coach Cook was talking to him at a wedding. They got 6 kids out for freshman football.
That's tough.
So it's getting tougher everywhere.
Yep.
I hate to see it, and I hate to say it, but there's some schools that are going to lose football. There's some schools that are going to have to combine programs.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And coming down the road,
You combine programs. I don't know what's 8-man football. Is that based on
That's
school
based on
enrollment,
school
or can
enrollment. But
So what do you do when you're a 2A school or a 3A school and you've got 15 kids?
you play it.
You join with your local neighboring school.
Who was it last year or 2 years ago that dropped football?
I don't know.
And played a JV schedule because they didn't have enough kids.
Yeah.
That's one thing in
That's already
wrestling. You
happened
see
here.
a lot of schools consolidating for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And especially girls wrestling that just started, so teams are starting to build programs.
It's a question, and you know what? To remain competitive, you may have to do some things like that. But
You hate
know,
to see it, don't
that's
you?
down the road.
Because everybody's got their tradition.
Right.
And so we begin the third quarter here at Trojan Field. South Tama to kick off.
Adrian Valle. Let's see what type of adjustments Coach Doran and Bridgewater dialed up at halftime.
See what's happened. I know I've got a few kids just based on their uniforms. We got a couple of kids who didn't see a whole lot of action in the freshman-sophomore game who are probably going to maybe see some action, play a quarter or so. I don't know if that's a great idea or
It's
not.
tough. Yeah, it's just a tough call.
Wow.
That's a booming kick there by Valle. I asked him in class today. I said, "You gonna kick the ball into the end zone every time?"
But why not?
He says, "Yeah."
Oh, that is okay.
I said, "You don't have to make a tackle if
Right.
you."
So we kick off. The ball comes out to the 25. That's the first time tonight.
First time
that we haven't
off.
started.
Right.
First time we kicked off.
First time we kicked off, but it's the first time tonight with turnovers and punts and things that we haven't. That Roland-Story hasn't started at least the 50-yard line. So
my guess is Roland-Story will come out with their starters for the first possession at least, and they are.
Yeah. And then
you got Noel and Johnson right behind him in the backfield there.
If they score here, those guys are done.
Yeah, we might see some of those.
Yeah.
Cleaner jerseys coming out.
You might see.
Noel to Johnson. So this is kind of how they started the game. And
Johnson tripped up in the backfield.
Weiss with a tackle, but Gustafson was there, and so was McBride. McBride kind of slowed him down there.
That's one of the kids that surprised me that we haven't called his name quite often.
Because this has got to be his third year starting. Right? He's one of our.
But he's getting buried.
He's got some big boys, and he's probably getting double teamed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Noel to Johnson up the middle, and
again
South Tama
picked up about 2. But that's nice.
Gustafson and Weiss again.
I know.
So the guys who didn't play football since their freshman year.
I like and you like to see.
But they're excited about it,
right? And sometimes, Monday when they go in and watch film, or whenever they go in and watch film.
Oh, now Gustafson's got a cramp.
They'll see that. I'm telling you.
He's not just going to be one of them that just lays down. Oh, he's going to.
Maybe this early. This is just an idea. Maybe instead of playing the Gator Bowl, we should play the Pickle Ball.
Right.
Everybody donates a jar of pickle juice, gets it free.
Yeah.
Well, and the cumulative effect maybe of having those kids, out.
Yeah.
I mean, they were out at 7 o'clock last night, and it was still plenty humid, plenty hot.
Right.
And again, after maybe the hydration doesn't go so smooth overnight into the school day.
And here's Bridgewater coming off the edge, but man. So Noel throwing the ball down the left hash. And he had First time we called his name, Boaz Clark, running down the side. Kind of had him open, kind of had a step on blocker.
He had a step on him, and he's listed as a starter. But again, he's another one of those big, speedy, fast kids. Probably kept him in the block.
It says he's 6'3" tall.
Yeah.
170 pounds.
There you go. Just what you need. Another tall kid over 6 foot.
Okay, so Roland-Story's going to punt the ball here for the second time tonight, I believe.
Which surprises me. And they're going to down it at the...
So what are the chances we're going to
45.
keep playing on a half a field, except for it's going to go the other way here?
Yeah.
Yeah. South Tama gets their first look on offense here in the second half, but again, it's been a big Roland-Story effort so far.
My favorite was Coach Van Dyke. Back when I first started here 30 years ago, had the really good teams with Rutledge and Red Out and all those guys. One time they were up against, I think it was Cedar Rapids LaSalle. He came in at halftime. He said, "Okay, as soon as you guys score, you're done. You're not playing." It took them almost a full quarter to score.
They didn't want him to score. They wanted to keep playing football.
All
right?
those guys came jogging over, and Bishop said, "Well, you're out if you score." He goes, "That's how we're not going to score."
All right, South Tama came out under center. They're in the scorer formation. So this has been a staple from South Tama since that time you're talking about right now.
30 years.
Right.
I remember when we first put it in against Waverly Shell Rock.
So it's a stack eye. You've got two fullbacks basically behind the quarterback. Some people call it the Maryland eye. We call it score at South Tama. It's a kind of a tradition, and we've had quite a bit of success with it over the years. And I'm going to look and see. I'm thinking Weiss is under center, and it looks like you've got McBride, Jeanette, Bridgewater, all in a row there.
McBride, Jeanette. Yeah, you're in Bridgewater.
So you got Dolash tight end on the right side.
Not much there on second down.
No, there's not. But you give up a...
Oh, we got a flag.
Yep.
Some type of unsportsmanlike.
That's got to be against Roland-Story. Yep.
I like going to score here. I'm not going to say it's going to work, but you got to try something different.
It's an option.
Button it up a little bit.
You get your big bodies in there, and it was originally designed and put in here at South Tama because you had three, and it was Wes Hand played fullback in it.
Yeah.
Wes Hand and Justin Ray and Brandon Rutledge, and you can hand off to any one of those guys. And it's kind of surprising who you hand it off to, but we got a little unsportsmanlike.
And it's kind of fun putting a guy like Wes Hand at the fullback position because he can lead block every time. So you've got an offensive guard lead blocking everywhere.
Exactly, and just go through, and you're going to pop some heads. But I can remember a couple of times when you were in school, we put Chris Harrison in there.
We ran it.
And
Brett Flynn was back there.
Then you had you Flynn and Chris Harrison leading your way, opening a hole. People got out of his way. There's Kyan.
So the best field position South Tama's had today was that McBride taking the handoff.
Yep.
Okay, so he
Yep,
gets
as a
about a
fullback.
yard. Yep. So I believe it's Weiss, McBride, Jeanette, Bridgewater.
And I'm kind of surprised that from this, that Gavin Bridgewater hasn't touched the ball much tonight.
No.
Not nearly as much as he did a year ago, right?
And is that by design?
I don't know.
Or is that
But we haven't had much going.
No, that's true too.
We haven't. Our possessions have been 3 or 4 plays.
Yeah. Let's see something.
So Bridgewater is he's right behind.
Now,
Weiss.
see, he's
going to lead block. This is a toss.
And that's Tyrus Clegg, right?
But you got to cut that ball up inside.
Right.
Because all the blocking's pushing everybody to the outside.
No, that's Cody Blocker. And he's a hard runner. Cody Blocker's he's a good hard runner. And the thing coming out of this you don't like to see is that when he gets out, Bridgewater may be too quick for him getting around that corner. So if he blocks somebody down and gets them out of the way, there might be somebody else coming across that he doesn't see. Yeah. So it's,
It looked like Bridgewater and Jeanette were kind of blocking inside out where there was like maybe a cutback, and we try to outrun everybody because Blocker hasn't played much football since 8th grade or freshman year just because injuries. But talented, and his older brother was a running back for us as well, Bo.
Just get out of there and get rid of that. Oh, nice shot. That's a nice job.
Well, he got real creative there, didn't he?
Yes,
but
he
I
did.
think he threw it to his center. Did he throw that back to Miguel Medina? So,
Yeah, that's. So yeah, Medina
so that's got to be like an
52.
illegal.
sit up. Yep.
No.
Nope.
But he's not.
No, there's no
No,
flag.
they're not going to throw a flag. He did. Maybe it hit. Did it hit the ground?
Oh, okay.
Because they're marking it where.
Was it where Medina got tackled or?
It
Well, that was
was-
probably exciting for Medina. He probably hasn't touched a football other than snapping it between his
He
legs.
probably has
very
no
many
idea what
times.
to do with it either. He threw the ball at me. What do I do?
Yeah.
Throwback.
But Weiss gets creative.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
And that's the intelligence. That's having a quarterback that's smart. That he's not gonna lose 5 or 6 yards on a rush. He's gonna get rid of the ball. Here comes Kyan McBride again.
Back
So it's
out
gonna
there.
be-
We're punting.
It's going to be interesting to see where we go with that formation. And Kyan, timeout.
I don't know if we had more success running the ball out of that score package or if that penalty helped us quite a bit.
Yeah.
The unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, and you don't know. You don't. It's this point in time that you get, and I don't know their coaches, but they have been around for a while, and it's that what goes around comes around type thing. When you're good, you take it easy on a team that's maybe. And we kind of learned that the hard way a few years ago. I can't remember who we wrestled, and they came back and were really good one year, and just coaches
It's hard to
shook
say.
hands and said, remember last year you popped it us. We did that one time in football in middle school.
Oh yeah,
And we
then
couldn't-
same
yeah.
crew, same crew the next year.
And then you got the same coaches came back and
Oh.
we're not as good. And he said, well, we are. So
Yeah.
watch out. And sometimes with Roland-Story, to their credit, you've got kids. What do? Tell Wilkinson. He wants to go to college and play football. And look at him. He can play football somewhere. What do you
Well-
tell him? You don't score?
He's your backup.
Yeah.
He's your backup running back.
Yeah.
He's your third string. Bergen might be
Yeah.
the backup.
Back,
right?
it's
I remember we had a really talented freshman group that was with like Tanner Probasco and Colton Vest,
Oh,
Isaac
yeah.
Judge, and we would start.
Oh,
That was a nice little pop.
Big
Nice.
hit there.
that's your punter.
Bridgewater.
Wow.
He's got his chest up now a
Yep.
little bit.
Yeah.
His body language changed a little bit after that. Feels good.
Well, it's harder than keying on, and they probably keyed on him coming out. But finish your story about
Anyways,
this.
what I was talking about is we'd get up big on a team, so I would put my second string, third string running up. Tanner Probasco was like my third string. He was like 90 pounds at the time. He would
Right.
run a touchdown. Like,
Yeah. What do you do?
what are we going to do? Like, we have to find someone to play running back who has never done it before so they don't score.
And
But
you
you're not
have-
going to tell your guys that you have out there, your
Right.
second or third stringers, you're not going to tell them,
Yeah.
don't give an effort.
Yeah.
We always give an effort.
Well, they want to play.
Right. And there's
That's Johnson
Heston
again.
Johnson around the side.
Around the
Weiss
side.
was there, but man, didn't wrap up. Same with Gustafson, but South Tama strings the run out.
Yeah.
Roland-Story
It's
still
just a
looking for
small
their
game.
first touchdown of the third quarter here. It's been just a slow and messy quarter so far.
I don't know if they've had a first down this half yet.
No.
It's only their second possession, but
Yeah. Well, they had a. No, they haven't. They may not have.
because we had a couple good run stops,
Yeah.
kind of like that last one there, and then they had the incomplete pass. 2nd and 8.
Looks like a passing set.
No,
here.
yeah, they're in a trips to the left. I
And
think someone
they
jumped.
Jumped early.
So there's a penalty on
So-
the Norseman.
That tells me, from watching football and coaching football, they've got some newer guys in there. Looks like the line is a little bit smaller, so some of those guys
They could be subbed.
could have been a
A
little.
lot of times a
fatigued.
team will say, "Hey, starters, you're back out there for the first possession."
Right.
And I don't know if Coach Dorn's making adjustments.
Yeah, and that possibly could be, but sometimes those big guys can't. It's hot. They're hot like this.
Yeah. So
There's
it's like a
Wilkinson.
5-yard out to Wilkinson. Nice open field tackle by Blocker.
Blocker, Gustafson, they're still in there, having all kinds of fun. But he picks up 4 yards.
3rd and 6, Darvin. Yeah.
5:35 left in the third quarter. Roland-Story with the long field in front of him. Just kind of trying to sync things up. Maybe some second-string guys.
Bridgewater
in there
coming off the
There
edge
it
on a
is.
stunt.
Holy smokes.
Sails over the hands. At
Fourth
number
down.
22.
So they're gonna punt again.
So you can see the body language of South Tama just kind of a little bit different than what it was in
Yeah.
the second quarter.
Yep. You see Dolash over
They're
there
making some
kinda
stops.
dapping his teammates up.
Yeah.
They're not quitting, and that's the biggest part of it. And that's the biggest. I think that's the past couple of years. They haven't had the success, but they're still playing for a little bit of pride.
Pretty nice little punt there by Noel. And he's
Coming
the
back,
kicker,
nice.
the punter, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Fair catch made at the
Kind of like your son,
35.
George,
Yeah.
right?
Kind of. Yeah.
Sam, when he was here, he was
Well, he had a hard time getting him off the field.
quarterback, punter.
But that
I don't think
started-
he kicked.
you
I think
had-
Fonseca was the kicker for us.
Fonseca was the kicker, and he kicked off for us.
Yep.
Except that one time Jose blobbed one.
That was probably by design.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it probably was. It could have been the
Little squib.
the squib kick. No, he was it. And you like kids like that. You like kids like Gavin Bridgewater. You like kids like Daniel Weiss. You have a hard time getting them off the field. They want to play.
Yep.
And that's the Knoll kid. And they will, take a break to get some water here, which is really good. You can kind of tell our kids are coming off the field, taking their helmets off and getting some water, dropping their mouthpieces, and
A little stiff.
and it's a little bit. Our linemen are moving slow.
Yeah.
But I just think there's a little more excitement.
There's
over
a
there.
little
I
bit,
see
yeah.
Yeah.
We got a little
Bridgewater's
bit-
language. I'm looking at him and Gustafson and some of these guys. I agree with you. I like guys
Something
who
to
don't
step.
want to come off the field.
Yeah.
You think of bigger schools where everybody's playing one way and how big of an advantage it is, but like I think back to like when I played and just people, the kids that I coached that I really loved coaching, and they didn't want it. They didn't
They were
want to
the
come off the
players.
field. They wanted to play offense, defense,
Well-
kick off, kick return,
You coached
name it.
both Lux boys.
Yeah.
You were here when Steph and all those guys,
Yep.
Ian Slagle.
Yep.
Look back at your class. You guys, you were competitive. You guys had Flynn. You had
Slug of them. Yeah.
just a bunch. Like Danny Mayo came through.
Yeah.
When Doran played, Nate Doran played. I remember him. You had a hard time getting him off the field. Those types of guys that would go both ways and give everything that you had. That's
I think Bubba Rutledge a few years back, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Oh
one of those.
man, when he was a freshman, we had a pretty decent team, but we
Right.
were down at Boone or somewhere, and it was a real close game, and we were marching it down, running the score formation, and we're gonna score. We're like on the 5-yard line, and Bubba's throwing up on the field. He didn't want to come out, but I'm like, Bubba, you stay out there. Of course, the referee makes him come out because you can't be throwing up on the field.
Is he going to
He
be okay?
comes out
Yeah,
and
he'll be
he continues
back.
what he's doing. All right, get back in there. We got to score here. So it's a toss to Bridgewater. A
Out of the score.
38
And there
toss
it
to
is.
Bridgewater.
Finds
He
the
finds a
corner.
cutback.
Bridgewater loose up the sideline, brought down finally, but a big gain there by
So a 20-yard run by
Right.
Bridge.
Captain
Close to
Bridgewater.
it.
So designed as a pitch to the right side. And Bridgewater finds a little cutback lane, brings it all the way down the left sideline.
And he did have a little pop. You're right. He did have a little pop in his step. And he, whoever he's playing against, he sees some success. So next week we go up to Charles City. I don't know how good Charles City is. We can come out and
It's
we
a
can
closer
get more
game last year.
success.
That's,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah.
It got messy in the fourth quarter. I remember that.
Score formation. Weiss with the toss to the Bridgewater to the left. And he's going to pick up at least 5. He's still churning in there.
And it's hard to stop him when he gets going.
Now, it looked like there was about 3 or 4 Norsemen
Yeah.
hanging on to him. Here comes Blocker. Bridgewater comes out. He's going to take a couple plays off. I suppose Blocker's going to go back to that last back in the score formation.
Wouldn't it be fun to run the exact same thing out of that score formation, but a little pitch to the right side here?
Now you got a little fast guy back there instead of a bruiser.
And then he gets around to the outside. Maybe this defensive back stays inside a little bit, maybe plays a little bit closer to the end. And if you can get somebody outside, you've got a lot of room.
We'll see.
Who can scoot. Oh,
Somebody jumped.
that's
It's not a came across the line. So blocker gets a
couple yards.
Positive yardage.
Yep. And here comes Kyan. We'll see what he's gonna do.
3rd down and 4 here for the Trojans.
A lot of McBride played baseball this summer.
Yeah.
Weiss, Bridgewater.
Yeah, this group has kind of, I mean, they all don't
Gustafson,
get into each other's sports, but there's pockets of kids on this team that have played a lot of stuff together. 3 minutes to go here, and Roland-Story still yet to score in the 3rd quarter. South Tama, one of the first times they're getting into Norseman territory.
Here's Weiss under center again. Stack eye. Gives it to the second back on an ISO. That's Kinzer Jeanette up the middle, and Kinzer picks up
6 yards for the first down.
Miguel Medina, also a decent baseball player, I think.
Right.
Yeah. He's playing center out there. About a 160-pound center, 170-pounder.
That's the whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is like a wrestleback. You get beat early.
Hey, let's have some pride. Let's stay in the, let's stay in the fight here.
You do that, and you finish in 3rd place. What does that tell the guys that are still wrestling? What does that tell?
Well, it might send a message, but let's win the 3rd quarter. What's the carrot right now?
And that's the
Bridgewater under center, silent sneak. So whenever Bridgewater's been under center, he's been getting the ball. So
it's fun to see.
So now South Tama is kind of getting some positive yards, and I'm not so sure that Roland-Story is not subbed in because you've got your all-state linebacker in there.
Right.
2nd and 7 for South Tama, as they're like Nate said, pushing things forward little by little.
It was good to see him moving the ball in the 3rd quarter, the way the score's been.
Yeah.
Right. And if they do score, it may not be close, but it's going to give you a little bit of positive.
Bridgewater, the 3rd back, looked like a ISO or a power to the right, but then he bounces it to the left again.
And he's picking up positive yardage. At halftime he had only 14 yards.
Yep.
And now he's getting close to getting over 50. It's nothing like it has been in the past where at halftime he's at 132 yards and nobody has anything else. But it's positive. Cody Blocker's coming back in.
He's getting some yards.
And it's good to see him this deep into a first game.
Yeah.
Because in the past, he would have been a little dinged up.
Okay, McBride moved back to line. It looks like Jacob Youngberry is that first fullback, the up back there, followed by Jeanette and Blocker.
3rd and a long 2 here. Still the score formation.
Weiss
met right at the line of scrimmage, though.
Through.
Yeah, he took a hit.
Yep.
He's getting up.
They gotta.
Okay.
And they're picking him up.
Yep.
Because I don't know what else you have a quarterback.
Yeah, it looked like Marty Garcia and McBride were right there to kind of help him up.
So now 4th down for the Trojans is got a couple things working on that drive, 15 yards or so, but
4th and 1.
4th and 1. What the hey?
Yeah, it's a situation where as a coach, you know what you can do, so maybe let's start to have a little success with that.
Let's see if they put Bridgewater under center and do the sneak again.
Yeah.
No, Weiss is going under. I don't think Bridgewater's on the field right now.
I don't think he is there. He's
got Jeanette in there.
Here they come.
They're coming up the middle.
Shoot.
So
here we go. Oh, the ball's on the ground. Shoot.
Bad snap there. And
Okay.
Big stop there by
It was a
Roland-Story.
designed ISO to the second back, so trying to give it to Kinzer Jeanette with Young Bear leading up the hole just to the left side.
And in that situation, you don't know what happened, but I think the ball did hit the ground.
And it looks like another Trojan on the ground with a cramp.
I'm telling you,
Only the second or third one tonight, though.
No. And that's,
It's
I don't
cooling
know.
down out there, though.
What was the high school like today? What was it? It was hot yesterday. Everybody was hot
It was still
yesterday.
pretty humid.
It was still pretty humid in the building. And
I'm kind of in the gym, so it's always freezing cold in there. But
Yeah.
I'm walking across the parking lot to the weight room all day, so
Yeah.
it was warm in there.
And that's a big part of the whole thing, is that you can get as much water as you want to, but when it's humid like it is, you just start sweating. I know our kids at the middle school, just being in the heat and humidity, it just sucked the life right out of them. By the end of the day, I was trying to get kids, to answer questions is tough anyway. But talking
First
to
week
them,
of school too,
they're probably all gassed because
they have to sit and think for.
Yep. Nobody's gotten any sleep. their sleep patterns off and everything else is going
Yeah, you
crazy.
can't sleep till 11 when you got to get up for school.
That's right. I don't know about anybody else, but around 11 o'clock, I'm ready for a nap most summer days, and I miss those.
Of course, you're probably out golfing at about 6 a.m. too, aren't you?
Well, just doing exercise. You exercise till noon.
You've been walking all around town,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Till your wife finally got on my bike a couple times.
I saw you biking.
She wasn't out there on the hill cheering me on.
Oh.
Every time I go down to see her, she's.
Now, tell me, you had some big goal about you're going to walk so many miles.
Yep.
Is that for the whole year?
Yep.
So where you at?
I'm going to be, probably the way it's going right now, I'm going to probably be about 150 miles short.
You better pick it up.
I better pick it up. Well, it's the morning football practice, but walk an hour in the morning and those types of things.
Yeah.
It's just a goal I set for myself.
So what was the yearly?
The yearly was, I think we had 500 miles.
Okay.
But I didn't walk from when school got out to right before we went back.
Okay.
Because I was in the pool and riding my bike.
You were swimming.
Yeah, I did meet my swimming goal, and I did make my biking goal this summer, so I'm good there.
Well, you hit about a mile every time you get to that pool?
Yeah, close to it. Okay. I want to see if I could swim 50 miles this summer, and
you got 50 miles.
A little bit over it.
Okay. Anyways, the Norseman just got a first down, and but
yeah, we turned the field here a little bit.
Oh, was it a first down or is it just quarter?
I think it's a quarter.
That was the first
quarter break.
Okay. So
they're flipping them.
Yeah, man. South Tama's defense is coming to play though a little bit.
They are.
Offense is moving the ball a bit,
and you like that.
And the body language is changing.
Yes, it is. They're not.
Guys are getting excited, clapping, picking their teammates up.
And
you see Dorton's talking out there. Everybody's, you got the eye contact, and nobody's sitting on their knee. And
I don't know about anybody else. And I coached with him, and you coached with him. But, man alive, if you can't get out of a halftime talk or a pregame talk, and Nate Doran is the one pumping you up, if you're not ready to eat a nail.
It's just off the cusp, too. He doesn't. Like for me, if I'm going to, sometimes he'll ask me to go talk to the team once a year, just before the game. I've got to have it planned out. I've got to have a little script and kind of think about it. He's off the cuff.
No. It pops off the top of his head. Some of them, it's like like those old Southern phrases they say, and he gets them. Man alive, you don't get.
Yeah, he's a passionate dude at times.
It's
good. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's like Hosky in the old days. Or Corum.
Corum. Plants was pretty good in the pregame speech as well.
Yes, he was.
Okay, here's the Norsemen. They've got twins to the left.
2nd and 5.
Handoff. It almost looks like a little read there, but that's a designed run.
Bergen on the carry.
So first down. So we're starting to hear Kinzer's name a little bit. This half.
Hey, take a look. Number 10 is new, isn't he? Who is that?
Is it Anthony Thompson?
No, for Roland-Story. He's the back next to the quarterback there.
Oh, that's Bergen.
Is that Bergen?
Bergen.
Yep. Yep, Bergen. I got him.
So we saw him
in the second quarter.
And there's your 6'2".
Called incomplete.
Oh, to Clark.
Cody Blocker over there mixing it up.
Yeah, he caught it.
Okay, well. They just whistled the play instead.
That's his first catch.
Yeah, he was open a series ago, and he kind of had a step on Blocker and dropped it, but he put the ball on the ground after he caught it. He must have
1st and 10 for
touched
the
his knee.
Norsemen on the 31 in Trojan territory now after the big pass downfield.
Ooh.
Oh, who was that?
Stood up
looked
in
like
the backfield.
Reverse body lock to a souffle. So I think it was Bridgewater.
Is it Bridgewater? No, it wasn't Bridgewater. Who was that? That was.
Yeah.
Was it Gavin? Yeah, because he got pumped up. Okay, so you're teaching that stuff, right?
I think you might get even called that in wrestling. I mean, that might be an illegal slam.
That's kind of the stuff. That he practiced this summer in Florida.
Yeah.
Hey, and congratulations, wrestlers had a great summer too. I mean,
Yeah,
all,
we
the
had
whole,
a few
the
kids
program-wise.
that put some time in, and it's always tough as far as organizing things, and sometimes it feels like pulling teeth trying to get kids to do things in the summer, but the ones that want to do it or want to get better are going to put the time in.
Right.
2nd and 17 for Roland-Story. Still in South Tama territory, though, after the big hit.
And Bergen again kind of muscles his way up for a gain of 6.
So they make it back, kind of make up the lost yardage, but that brings up 3rd and 10. South Tama has kept Roland-Story out of the end zone after it was like a hot knife through butter in the first half. Things have just kind of stiffened up a little bit for the Norsemen.
There's another one of those, Jake Youngbear.
Yeah, we haven't heard his name as much on the tackles.
No.
He did have a little cheering section when they called it over the loud. Oh, it's balls on the
Big
ground.
pressure
So it's
there,
a
loose
sack.
ball. Picked up near the 50. And a turnover. South Tama.
One of the D line. 56 fell on it. Wyatt Sermon.
Wyatt Sermon coming around.
Recovery. I don't know what caused it.
So the quarterback dropped back. I think 2 Trojans hit him at the same time. I didn't catch who it was, but then the Sermonator was right on top of it.
So that turns things over back to South Tama. They'll get the ball just past the 40-yard line.
Mom's sitting out here in front with her cowbell. She wants more. We need that. They're playing well. Maybe more cowbell will do the trick.
Yeah. I'll have to bring that thing on the road as well.
Yeah.
9:44 early in the fourth quarter, and you looked at that first half, and I don't know that I thought we'd be here exactly, score-wise, effort-wise.
He went downhill pretty quick in the first half, didn't
it? And defensively, I think they've taken out. They're not taking out all of them. What is that?
It's something with the motion over there.
Oh, okay.
On blocker.
2 motions.
I didn't
Maybe.
see both of them at the same time, but they called it on the motion. So, and if that's something we're gonna do with that double wing, it seems like we've been penalized on it a bit.
Right. And if
that's gonna be like a
timing thing,
staple in
too.
what we're
Ball goes back to the 37, 2nd and 15 for the Trojans.
Looks like we're running the same thing. Little toss out to blocker. Man.
So get out on the corner and then turn it up right there.
And that's a big looping.
Yeah.
But number 5
run there.
Well, that's Johnson,
That's
isn't it? Number 5, and the linebacker. He's the outside linebacker.
Right.
He's the most dangerous guy on the field, and
Right.
he was untouched.
Well, and then you got it's Wilkinson is on the other side,
Okay.
so he's coming across too.
Yeah.
And so you have your All-State linebacker is in the middle, and then you're flipping Johnson and
Wilkinson.
And they're kind of moving up. Johnson played at the end, but it looks like their players on defense, from what I can see, just looking at their starting lineup, they're substituting half and half.
Moving guys around
Yeah,
a little
moving
bit.
guys
so
around a little
Johnson's
bit
on
to
the
see.
outside again. Here's Weiss in the shotgun.
Again, 2nd and 7 for the Trojans.
He's going to look to his right. He's
And he's gonna
scrambling.
get out
I think
of
he's
there.
going to keep it.
That's all right.
Picks up 5.
Tough him up a little bit. He's chased down by.
So Weiss pushes the ball just past the 40, still in their own territory, though. And now 3rd and long.
He's getting creative out there.
Yeah. They're starting to call his number more. If he wants to, if he's going to the coaches and say, let me run the ball a little bit more, let him run the ball.
Sometimes it helps get into a rhythm of the game, too. Of course, he's playing defense as well. So
Helps to have the temperature dropping a little bit outside and things just, I think, loosening up and the body's getting a little more acclimated to the environment.
Well, there's usually such a huge improvement from game 1 to game 2 and game 2 to game 3.
Right.
Especially if you can't scrimmage live in practice very often.
And that's just
so Weiss throws it away. Not a bad idea.
No. Especially with you've got a couple of, I'm sure, what are going to be. You got an All-State linebacker coming at you, and he's got free reign to hit you. They're probably looking to make a statement for that hit, because they were chirping
when Bridgewater
at the end of the half when Bridgewater clocked him. But That's part of being a football player. He's got to be ready for that. So South Tama's going to turn the ball over here on the punt.
4th and 9. Valle coming out to punt once again. 2 returners deep for Roland-Story. They're set up around the 20.
And we need a good kick here. We'll give them position to make a.
Takes his time. It's a low line drive, but it's going to take a bounce.
Just don't get him ahead of steam. There you go. Just slow him down. Nice.
And blocker almost with a nice open field tackler, but slowed him down quite a
Slow
bit.
it down
here.
enough to get it in there.
And Anthony Thompson on the tackle.
Yep.
Cody Walker at number 7, Jeremy Dolash for the Trojans.
And kind of a shout out to Anthony Thompson. He's kind of a kid. We've called his name. We've called his name
a couple times.
Not a couple times for some from pretty decent plays, but he's one of those guys that's in there and he's got his nose. He's always around the football.
He's a good kid to coach too. He's
Yeah.
coachable. He listens. I've
yeah.
never heard him complain. I mean,
Yeah.
He's
We laid cement all summer, so he's got some. He's going to have some muscle to him.
Roland-Story now 1st and 10 after the punt in their own territory.
Noel hands off to Bergen.
Good. Bergen picks up about 6, and he was just
Good hard tackling there by I think Bridgewater.
yeah.
Number 10, Kendra Jeanette.
Well, that's Kinzer Jeanette.
Well,
Maybe.
I think
it was Bridgewater too.
like we said, the 18 and
Yeah.
the 10 are a little bit tough to
He's kinda-
decipher.
You got to start looking at the socks, maybe. That's where it's at.
Bridgewater has that white sock or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tell Tolly. Best thing you can do when you're playing football is give,
Oh, and there's a tackle in the
There's
backfield.
another
by
tackle.
Bridgewater.
Backfield
He
once
came off
again.
the edge,
yeah.
untouched.
That's a nice. He's getting his.
So that's
getting in a
He's
rhythm,
getting
huh?
in.
sets up 3rd and 5 for Roland-Story. Is
Bergen's kind of going a little bit backwards.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
and he's not their big back. He's their 100 and
kind of their third one,
100,
yeah.
When your kids play
156
football, take a
pounds.
look at what socks they're wearing. That's how my wife could tell.
That's how she could
when
tell.
my little kids, when the little kids were all the same size, he was wearing red socks.
Mm-hmm. And Noel's got a little bit more time.
And good night.
Oh my!
Wow.
Old pass complete to Wilkerson.
So Wilkinson,
34.
2 or 3 steps on the defensive backs of
16.
South Tama.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, what is it, a
76 yarder.
76-yard touchdown.
Close to a 76-yard touchdown.
Toss and catch.
Pass. Yep.
From Noel to Wilkinson. And I don't know. Just a blown coverage.
Yep. They saw, and he saw it. He saw Wilkinson just get past that defensive back, and he goes.
I think he was kind of between the safety and the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Extra point here for Roland-Story after the first touchdown of the second half.
That's good.
And it's good. Noel doing the kicking for.
Well,
for
if not for the long pass, then South Tama's playing pretty good defensive half.
Yeah.
They did play they played a very good defense because they weren't, other than Johnson and Bergen, they haven't had that many big things, but
maybe your defensive backs get lulled to sleep a little bit.
Yep.
After 10 consecutive runs.
yeah, and then running hard, and then all of a sudden it's a 76-yard popper. This would tell me with 6 minutes to go.
Yep.
I think Roland-Story, maybe their offense is done.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
they
It probably,
just take
it probably
these
just
guys out.
bugged them just a little bit when they couldn't move the ball there
Right.
that whole third quarter.
But, power rankings,
right.
You're coming up and you're beating a 3A school.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think next week they go to Nevada. So they're starting out
That was
on
a
the
big
road
matchup
against
for
two
them
3A
too.
schools.
Nevada was a playoff
Right.
team last year, and one of their losses.
And getting, I can't remember if if it was these guys, but their first 3 games last year were losses to 3A teams, and they still made the playoffs based on their power rankings. I mean, it's a pretty solid program over there.
Coach Matt Finn in his third or fourth season.
And more power to him. We won't have to see him again. And
I'm surprised we haven't seen him more than twice, though, in the history of the
that is
program.
strange.
So.
But that goes to show they were a smaller district for a long time,
Right.
and they've grown as Story County has ballooned around Ames.
And South Tama's going to take over here. The ball went in through the end zone. So they get the ball in the 25 or
20.
20. They keep changing. It's changing things. on
Changing
me.
the rules on you.
I'm getting too old. Yeah.
I always kind of liked having the option to run the ball out of the end zone.
I did.
I mean, you can kneel it, but
Yeah, but
let's take a gamble and
It's a
see if you
little
can get
bit-
past the 20.
yeah,
I think it's a safety issue.
it
what
is. It is. It was a safety issue.
Guys running full speed.
And especially look at some of these kids. Some of these backups they've got in now.
Okay.
They've got a few backups in, but they don't have all the backups.
We've
It's
got
coach officials timeout
Maybe
with the clock,
Play, the play clock. Something.
play clock. And it's new here. South Tama, it's our first night.
Yep.
And getting used to it and knowing when it's 40, when it's 25.
Tight trips to the left. Weiss on an ISO with blocker leading the way, but way too much penetration up front.
Nowhere to go on first down, second and long.
And
coming up.
this is fatigue. Fatigue is set in.
I always say the second quarter and the fourth quarter
Yep.
for teams with lower numbers,
Right.
teams with a lot of guys playing both ways.
And you're 100% correct. Because
they get to rest up in
Yep.
halftime, and they come out pretty strong in the third, which we saw that.
Yeah. And surprisingly enough, we did keep Roland-Story out of the end zone in the third quarter.
Yep.
And you're right. It's, you come up and you get there.
Drew Melly's on the field getting a little bit of playing time as a sophomore.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. Because
Get him some reps.
he's going to, Drew, watching him all summer, just by his demeanor changed, being in the weight room every day, getting that chance to get out there. He played.
He
the
likes being
whole-
around that group too.
Yeah, he played the whole freshman game. Getting him that, and I've been up to the varsity.
Just enough
I
though. You
know
don't
what
want to.
it- yeah.
You don't want to
I know what it takes,
take a freshman or sophomore and get them beat up all
Right.
year. But
and I think that's one of the big things that coaches are going to have to evaluate once we get on further to the year.
It's Weiss,
is-
the Trojan, that's kind of dealing with the cramps. He was working his leg out on the sideline earlier, so he's might be done for the night.
well, that's interesting. Then we get to see what South Tama does when Weiss comes out of the game. We get to see who gets a chance to take snaps. It's probably going to be Bridgewater.
Well,
My
you
guess, he
got
played some of it
last year.
Dolash
Got him
was
up
in
there.
there last year too. Clegg took a couple games.
And you've got Dolash in there too. He's played a little quarterback.
That might be Emerson Bridgewater.
Yep.
17.
Is it? I can't see the numbers.
Looks like a lanky, but 17's not listed.
Yeah, the sophomores didn't get on the
Okay.
opening roster. So.
I think it's Emerson Bridgewater. So I think it's younger brother, freshman.
Younger brother getting some
Yeah.
experience.
he kind of took a hit after he threw it. I mean,
Just-
nothing that's would get him hurt, but
Keep him.
welcome to the
Welcome.
playing under the lights, right?
It's one of those things. You really, every freshman wants to play varsity until they get hit the first time, and then they're rethinking their decisions.
It's a big difference.
It
then.
is a
You-
huge
8th grade football too.
It's a big step, and you've got to be.
You got to know your players as a
Right.
coach. We talked about Ian Slagle, but he
Yeah.
was 270 probably as a freshman.
Yeah, but he was built.
And he's a smart kid.
Right.
And he went through some growing pains.
But he got. There was a couple of times there in 13 when they had that team, and they had that really good team that he took some lumps. He got some. We got down to Grinnell, and he got a spanking, but he learned from it, and that's where it is. Being a smart football player is a
So minimal game for Trojans on
I
the
think.
fourth down. Currently, from just past the 20-yard line, looks like
give him 3 and get him back to
guessing Valles
0.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's and that's good.
I think they played a pretty smart with Papaki, Rudy Papaki. His freshman
Right.
year, he played with the freshman team, the
Right.
fresh soft team, until the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
So he got that whole fresh soft season, and then they brought him up to play a little bit to me, that's
a smart
there's something
thing.
to say about playing with your classmates
Right.
and having success as well. at that
Valle,
level. Nice punt.
low snap,
Very good.
manages it and gets it all the way down to the 50.
If I'm not mistaken, haven't done any math, he's had a good game. He's averaging somewhere around 25, 30 punts, 30 yards a punt, and that's a good thing.
So first down for the Roland-Story Norsemen on right smack dab on the
Right on the 50.
Get the ball there.
With 4:36 to go, let's see what happens here because there's a lot of
And it looks like Weiss is still kind of getting
clean.
work done.
Yeah, that's a crampy thing. That's a
It's like we got the chiropractor Ian Slagle giving
Yeah.
him a
chiropractor working on his feet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
trips to the right for Roland-Story. I
wonder
believe it's Nolan there at quarterback.
Is he playing
still.
quarterback? But they've got a lot of bright, shiny uniforms
Let's
on that
see
line.
when he turns a little bit. If 15.
Hand off.
So yeah, it's Knoll still, and it's Bergman, Bergen, number 10.
Bergen again.
That'll bring up second down for Roland-Story, 2nd and 6.
Maybe that's just what they've got.
Yeah, we've seen
That's-
3 different backs.
Yep.
A lot of times you might not school a 2A, might not be repping four running backs, right? Handoff.
Bergen
No.
again.
Oh,
Yep.
that was a nice little ball fake. He carried that fake out pretty nicely. I thought
It's about another 4
Noel
yards.
had the ball for a second, but he handed it off to Bergman again.
Third down now for Roland-Story, 3rd and 4. Still right in the middle of the field pretty much. Just under 4 minutes to go.
Here's a question I have for you. From a coaching perspective, you've got Charlie Watts, an all-state linebacker. We haven't called his number that much.
I'm kind of surprised. I don't know if it's because we're kind of focusing on the
Yeah.
South Tama guys offensively and we're not
Right.
calling out the defensive tackles on
But
their side.
You've had
And he doesn't play much
doesn't
offense.
play much offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So to get him that
But
experience,
not getting into the quarterback either too much.
yeah, and that could have been it. But you didn't see him playing a middle linebacker, floating to either side.
For an
in the
all-state
scheme.
linebacker, I would have expected to call his name on that.
Right,
I
right.
expect him to kind of take over the game a bit.
Yeah, and maybe that's by design.
Yeah, I don't.
Give guys a little bit of
6'1", 200 pounds.
1st and 10 here for the Norsemen. Noel deep in the shotgun.
And it's going to be that screen again. It's a quick to Trojans having a little trouble wrapping up here on the tackles. But Youngbear gets all the way out there, coming from the inside linebacker position. Good hustle by Youngbear. That's Cody Long on the reception. He's a sophomore. 5'7", 148 pounds on that catch.
picks up about a nice 15 yards, and it looks like he's a good looking receivers.
He moved well after he caught the ball.
If you know, and Nola's got a little bit of a funny throwing motion, but it's effective because he's not going to take too many risks.
And no hands off to Bergman.
And he
and
scores.
he's going to.
Big hole there.
I think he got touched by one arm.
22 yards.
That was Bergen? Is that right?
Yep.
Bergen.
Berger and 22 yards touchdown.
So he's ending up having a heck of a night.
Yeah. And maybe, you never know, thinking to the future, keep everybody healthy, and they just discovered they've got another
We got a guy.
weapon.
All right.
Yeah. And he's not big. He's not big like their other backs.
No, he's a little bit
Yeah.
different.
So he's one of those guys that, like Cody Blocker, that can be in the line and then all of a sudden squirt out of there, and nobody knows that he even ran through you.
PAT coming here after the score by Berggren. And it's good. Pushing the score to an even 40 here with 3:16 left to go in the fourth quarter. All Roland-Story. But the scoreboard really, a lot of that rendered in the first half, and South Tama really providing some resistance in the third quarter, and the numbers in the fatigue kind of catching up to the team in the fourth.
And that is it. You're 20 guys. There's a couple of freshmen in there too. A couple of sophomores, and
I think
hate
the
to
idea
say
was
it.
to kind of dress them. I don't know if they really
Yeah.
had any intention of.
Yeah, but one, Bridgewater gets a couple of carries just to kind of keep his taste buds interesting. Nice thing about it is, nice South Tama tradition, the student section is now empty, and all the students are going down to the gate to form a tunnel.
It's a good
for
thing
the
you
team
caught
as they
that because
come
I
up.
thought the fans were leaving after that touchdown. I thought they
No.
they had seen enough, but
No.
you're right. They're going down.
They're
to
going down to the tunnel.
cheer
They're
the-
not
cheer 'em
going
off. Yeah, cheer their classmates on. when
And
they
it's a
run
really
off the
nice
field.
tradition because you've got the freshman football team, the ones that are in the stands. You've got the kids going down there, and it's nice of the administration. It's something that they started quite a few years ago, and they form a nice little tunnel, and it's encouraging. It's encouraging our football players, which they need. A nice little scamper on the kickoff. About a 15-yard return. Anthony Thompson.
Anthony.
Get them there and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, a couple freshmen, sophomores on this. I see Kyle Youngbear down there, Tanner
Yep.
Large. I wonder if they just didn't get kind of the option.
Some of those sophomores, yeah.
Yeah. Mellies, I
And
said, was
yeah.
in the game.
Anthony's a sophomore. Is sophomore or junior?
I think he's a junior.
I think he's a junior. Kind of look at the roster. I think he is a junior.
he's a
isn't
junior.
He?
Yeah.
Okay. It's surprising. Once they leave the middle school, I lose track of these kids, and it's hard to keep track of them. Sometimes I don't even recognize them when I see them.
Well, it'll be easy now that you said you're doing you take 7th grade football.
7th grade football.
That's the easiest way. When I coached football, I could always figure out, like, oh, yeah, that was my running back. That was the quarterback. That kid played center.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all in the same grade. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Oh, he was the guard on that team.
Well, it's hard to lose that when it's that 4 years that I didn't coach.
Yeah.
It was hard to it's hard to see the kids because I'd roll up to practice and even with the cross country kids, I graduated a big senior class and that was the year I left.
Yeah.
So and you have the same you have the same thing. Sometimes these kids change so much over time. And there go the cheerleaders. Cheerleaders are going down to form the tunnel, and we look like we've got about 2 minutes left. We had to call timeout to stop it, but it will have a continuous clock. And all in all, we played a good first quarter. We played a good third quarter. And, let's put them together and see what's going to happen. But Roland-Story, I'm telling you, for a 2A team, they're not going to – I don't think they're going to have a losing record this year unless they run into a buzzsaw somewhere in their district. But they
look like they have really good size.
Right.
And, like, their skilled guys are pretty – with Johnson's a good-looking back.
Right.
And then you throw Wilkinson in there, and he's a pretty athletic kid for 209 pounds he's
Right.
listed at. Like, they had a couple receivers who could catch the ball and make some moves after a catch.
Who was it we played a couple of years ago? I think we have too many men on the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think we have 12 guys on the field.
Well, we got 2 big guys out there. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you're just
Maybe
seeing a lot of
that
black
could
jersey.
be. And Marty Garcia's out
Garcia
there.
and Robles. Yep.
He's been hurt. He hasn't played a lot of football since he was a freshman either.
Yep.
He got hurt midway through his freshman year and had to rehab.
And I don't think he's played a sport. This would be his first one.
I don't think he's been allowed to, just with his knee and the size he is. But there was another 2A team that we played a couple years ago, and I can't remember if it was West Marshall, but we started out the season with them, and they had some really good skill players. And I can't remember who it was, and we gave them a game too. And it's just, a team like this, and I don't know, I haven't seen a 2A poll.
Yeah.
So you don't know what Roland-Story is getting because
They had a losing record last year. They're probably not in there.
Right.
They went 4-5
Yeah.
and made the playoffs. Gave Clarinda a game for a quarter in the playoffs, and Clarinda is a pretty good team.
Okay, so back to the score
But there's
formation.
score, and who's running the score?
Is it Weiss back in or
No.
not?
No.
He's
That's-
still on the
That's
sideline.
Bridgewater. Still.
That's Bridgewater. It's a little
Emerson.
Bridgewater.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Emerson.
Bridgewater. Okay, so there's a freshman who's getting few reps, and someone just got tossed right at the end of the play. I think it
Yeah,
was.
that's Chase Gustafson. He's limping, and he's not coming out. I can guarantee it.
3rd and 9 here as the clock winding down. Final minute of action here at Trojan Field.
McBride's out, Weiss is out, Clegg.
Yeah, they're just not. Gavin's out. They're not doing anything. They're not risking anybody.
Right.
It's a continuous clock. So we're going to get out of here. It looks like relatively unscathed. I don't know what's going on with Weiss. He's sitting down.
Jeanette's cramped up now. He's trying to walk it off. That's the first game. That's how it is, especially in this type of weather.
And they don't believe the pickle juice story, but by Gumby, it works. Get that back in your system. All these guys are going to be at Fairway buying pickle juice as much as they can. And that looks like it's the game.
10 seconds left here, and that should do it.
We're not going to try anything cute.
Final score here at Trojan Field, Roland-Story 40, South Tama 0, as the Norsemen go to their first win of the year. Teams go to the middle to shake it up.
Please drive safely and have a good night.
And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a post-game wrap-up. You're listening and watching Trojan Country.
I've been waiting forever. I've got patience. Guess I'm not that clever. Waiting for the day that you will find a way. For whenever we're together, what's your pleasure? I've got time for whatever. We can take it, measure. We've got this far, despite all the pressure. Waiting for the day that you will find a way. For whenever we're together.
Welcome back to the Salt Creek Wind post-game show here at Trojan Field. South Tama taking the loss 40-0 against Roland-Story. I'm going to turn it over to George Cuter, who's going to give you some stats and some thoughts about this Roland-Story side.
Some very unofficial stats there, Darvin. For Roland-Story, Johnson with 17 carries, 132 yards. No, their quarterback, very good job. -9 yards, but most of those came on one play at the end of the first half where he just got labeled and got a 15-yard loss. But he kind of made up some of those things. Bergen came in, did a really good job, 9 rushes for 34 yards, and then they had Wilkinson come in. He had 5 rushes for 80 yards. So running wise, Roland-Story looked really, really solid. Noel was 7 for 10, 70% on his passing for 153 yards. On the receiving side, he had 4 main receivers. Long had 15 yards. Larson had 29 yards. Wilkinson had 34. And then their 20 had 15 yards. Can't recall his name right now because I didn't write it down. But, Roland-Story had really solid things came in. Probably Matt Finn had some things he wanted to accomplish to see what his team could do, and they rolled up 40 points. Johnson had 3 touchdowns. Wilkinson had a touchdown. Berger had 2 touchdowns, and good, solid, not just 15-yard touchdowns. They were 35 or 39, 49. 76 and 22. So they've got some explosiveness there on offense. And Roland-Story, it's one of those things. We always kind of take a look at them and see what's going to happen towards the end of the year. And I think they're gonna roll. Going into Nevada next year, they're going to go in with a lot of confidence and everything. And they're walking through our student tunnel. So hopefully our students are being nice to them going on. But for the South Tama County Trojans, we had Matt Weiss. He was 8 rushes for 35 yards. Cody Blocker didn't have the greatest night in the world, but we could never get him outside.
Right.
We couldn't get him outside. So if we concentrate on getting him outside, there's a good possibility that he'll roll up some other yards. Again, these are very unofficial.
We were having a heck of a time sealing the edge for him.
Exactly.
We were having
Anybody.
tough time picking up an outside linebacker.
Right, and that was the whole thing that we were going to say. But Gavin Bridgewater is the leading rusher with 9 rushes for 50 yards. He kind of took over in the third quarter a little bit. He didn't have a great first half, but maybe just the jitters and stuff like that. Kyan McBride had 2 yards. Kinzer Jeanette had 1 rush for 6 yards. And then Emerson Bridgewater came in. He had 2 rushes for -2 yards on the whole day. Matt Weiss, pretty good job. He hasn't played quarterback, hasn't played football since his freshman year.
Daniel, right?
Or excuse me, I'm sorry. Did I say Matt? Daniel Weiss came in. He was 5 for 9 with 29 yards. Anthony Thompson had 13 yards. Bridgewater had 12 yards. And Trace Gustafson, 4 yards. And tough. We kept calling his number all night. He did a really good job. I think he did a good job offensively, and he made a really nice catch there. Want to shout out South Tama some positives. Wyatt Sermon, number 56, with his fumble recovery. And, our life came back a little bit in the third quarter. We had some really good punts from Valley. He averaged probably somewhere between 25 and 30 yards a punt. So he's a bright spot. And just we held Roland-Story to 0 points in the third quarter. And, Coach Van Dyke Nate Van Dyke's up here, and he said his big thing was his second quarter or first quarter, third quarter, you're still pumped up, come out at halftime. We did a really good job with that. I think this South Tama team, numbers-wise, is going to hurt you. Effort-wise, it can't say, how many times can you say it? It's give 100% effort.
Yep.
These kids are going to be tired tomorrow. They're going to look at this film. I think the coaches are going to look at the film tomorrow or the next day, and they're going to see what we did and how the kids played, and they're going to be really proud of them. So, next week we travel to Charles City. It's a chance to go on the road. Sometimes you make the biggest improvements from game 1 to game 2, game 2 to game 3, and you get yourself in some kind of our bright spots are bright spots.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things. It's the negative that has haunted us for the last couple of years. We just don't have. We've got to get the bodies out.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
next week, broadcast update for you. We've got Montezuma and South Tama volleyball will be live from Montezuma High School on Monday. Game time for the varsity is around 7:30, and then we'll be live from Charles City, Iowa on Friday evening for South Tama and Charles City. And so make sure to tune in this week. If you don't already, follow us on YouTube and Facebook. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors this fall season. They include Berkwood Village of Tama, Toledo, Salt Creek Wind, Mercy Care Tama, State Bank of Toledo, S&S Car Wash, Cruzy Phillips Funeral Home, Robach Lumber, Stein Robach Floor Coverings, Medicap Pharmacy, Mark West and Hoyer Law Office, Assured Partners Insurance, Appraisal and Realty Services, Sharn Weber's, The Farmer's Daughter Photography, and the Charlie Townsley Memorial. Nate, final thoughts from you here as we get ready to wrap things up. Trojan Field.
I think you guys said most of what there is to say, but I was proud of the team that stayed out there and kept fighting. That third quarter was fun to watch, and you could see the body language changing. It was fun to have Gus and Weiss back on the team. Mm-hmm. I think without those guys, the team looks a little bit different. Just the fight, it was fun to see Bridgewater kind of come back to life in the third quarter a little bit,
right?
Because it seems like maybe he was fatigued or I don't know. You can just see it in the body language in the second quarter already, and Norseman jumped on the Trojans early.
They did,
and it got kind of ugly kind of quick. And we were talking about subbing out starters, but third quarter was fun, and I think we kept it together in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Things
but
to
they
build
scored
on.
one touchdown in the fourth, something like that.
2.
The long pass and then
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but none in the third. So
I like the fight.
None in the third, 2 in the fourth quarter. So it's
can't fault the heart.
Oh no,
absolutely.
No. And we never, and that's something that we'll never ever say. These teams have had heart, and that's the bonus. And that's one thing that you got to like about the South Tama team is they take a lot of pride in what they're doing. So
All right, everybody, have a great weekend. For George Cuter and Nate Van Dyke, I'm Darvin Graham. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week live from Charles City.